But I think the development of full artificial intelligence will spell the end of the human race.
It's a flying object, and we don't know what it is. I would hope somebody is checking it out.
It was a rocket or whatever, but it could be fast, opposite direction. It was too fast to be an airplane.
I'm glad the Pentagon is looking at this, because if it poses a threat, I want them on top of it.
Well, the craft generates its own gravitational field.
You said there's lights in the sky?
The internet has become the command center for criminals and terrorists.
911, what's your emergency? I need help, please! Please help me!
Aliens won't let it happen. You know, that's what we're instructed to say.
Roswell, Area 51. Alien kept deep under the ground.
Self-serving. You're here for a reason. You're listening to Troubled Minds Radio.
Broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest. Into the digital darkness. Good evening and welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. Which way? This way. What's going on? This is a show where we get together and talk about all the things we're not allowed to talk about. You know what those things are. We do it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at 7 p.m. And let's adjust this just so. And, well, what are those things we're not allowed to talk about? You know what they are. Aliens, conspiracy, the paranormal, the government, academia, the 24-hour news cycle, propaganda, and the general feeling that we live in the upside down. We got a doozy for you tonight as we do our thing and talk about and think about all the strange things that happen in the world, because there are a lot of them. And sometimes, as they say, right, truth is stranger than fiction. We've got some of that for you tonight, and we'll get into that as we go. But before we do that, we got lots of stuff to talk about real quick. We'll do this real quick style. But we are streaming on watching all the chat and all the places. We're streaming on Rockfin, YouTube, D Live, and Twitter, and of course we are broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. And as always, right, as part of this whole conversation, part of this whole thing, as all this goes, is that I always say this, and this is the truth, is that we are me myself personally, I don't really know anything. I mean, you know, I know some basic human things, but other than that, I kind of don't know a lot, and I think that's okay. It's we live in this world now where everything seems to be answers only, right? We only want the answers. Don't waste our time with questions. Don't waste our time with any of the rest of this stuff. It's always answers. And so as a result, right, everybody has answers. Well, I see it differently. I see it extremely differently in that if you're getting answers, you're probably getting them from easy places, right? Because life is not easy. Life is not an easy answer, in my opinion. And that's why we talk about these things. That's why we do this in a long-form talk radio sort of situation, and why it's probably the best format for conversations, period. And so back to me barely knowing just enough to be human, and I am human, I guarantee you that. Even don't worry about those rumors about reptilians or robots or clones. I'm none of those things. I'm actually a human being. Being, not being. But anyway, so put those rumors to rest. It's not true. None of that stuff is true. But the point is that I don't really know a lot about all of these things, all of these amazing things that we're always talking about and considering on this show. And so as a result, we've done this live for a very long time now, going literally in April, it'll be 4 years for Troubled Minds, if you can believe that. Like that's an incredible length of time that I never dreamed we'd get this far. And here we are, not just talking about amazing things almost on a nightly basis, but sharing those ideas with amazing people all over the world. And that's the incredible part. So as much as I dig on technology, you got to be sure that it's about, see what you did there, APOC? You said you typed sure as soon as I was thinking and trying to do 7 things at once, and it came out of my mouth. You typed it and it came out of my mouth. That's so strange, right? That's the power of suggestion. So the thing is this. I don't know answers. There's no answers here, all right? So, but we have an open phone line. We have an open Discord, because discussing some of these topics, some of these things, really, I think, gets us closer to answers. But I think in a post-truth world, I think answers are too easy. They're far too easy. And so I think it's a little more important to ask questions instead. So as we ask these questions tonight, you can join us and be part of the show by dialing this phone number. It's a Las Vegas area code, and you can reach the show at 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. You can click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. That's the official website for Troubled Minds. It's got the phone number on top. It's got all the social media. It's got the Discord link. It's got everything you need right there. One-stop shop, troubledminds.org. And also, what is Discord, you may ask? Well, Discord is a chat client. It's a voice client. It's a way to share ideas. It's a way to share photographs and videos and all the rest of the things, right? It's a way to do those things. And the reason we do it that way is because the 702 area code is very old school, right? I mean, in the like, let your fingers do the walking, right? That type of old school. And it is a, like I said, Las Vegas area code. So some of our international listeners prefer to not pay that ridiculous old school long distance, right? Like, isn't it ridiculous that we have the internet and I can literally just smash the stream button and start broadcasting all over the damn world, but people are still like dialing on phones and getting charged long distance fees? You know what I'm saying? And we're not going to talk about that in depth tonight, but that's just another example of living in the upside down, right? It doesn't make sense. A lot of it just does not make sense. But anyway, so Discord's a way to just bypass all of that garbage. Hop in here, come say hi. There's lots of amazing people, and please do. Love to see you there. There's also another, I'm watching all the chats in all the places. Like I said, we're streaming, so I'm watching all the chats and trying to do 10 things at once because, well, it's not challenging enough to lose my train of thought every 30 seconds and trying to put together a coherent anything. I have to challenge myself more by watching 10 chat rooms and taking phone calls and doing all the rest of it. So we are watching those chat rooms, including the Fringe FM. What's up, guys out there? I see on the Fringe Discord as well. Please join them, the Fringe, and all the rest of us at fringe.fm/chat. That will give you a direct invite to the chat room. Hop in there and come say hi. And okay. All right. And one more thing. The easiest way to listen to Troubled Minds and all the amazing programming that goes on the Fringe FM is to download the Fringe app. And you can find that on your favorite app store, of course, the iTunes store, the Android store. It's free, completely free. Just if you love Troubled Minds and all the rest of the programming that happens on Fringe FM, just smash the play button on the app, download it, completely free, and you'll get the actual live feed of Fringe, and there you go. All right, so now with all that said, let's get into today. All right, let's get into what's happening today. Well, today I was thinking in terms of, well, let's just go to the article. This is the best way. You guys know me. I dig through news cycles and try and find, well, some hidden nuggets that don't get a lot of press, that don't get a lot of play, that are worthy of a maybe larger conversation, okay? And that's really what this show's always been about, sort of looking at propaganda, looking at news cycles, looking at the science articles, and wondering why things like this come out in science, and then we never hear about them again. They just kind of get shelved. They disappear. They're gone. They're here today, gone tomorrow. And so you wonder, is there any truth to this, or were they pulling our leg in the first place? Did DARPA scoop this up and turn it into I don't know, a Cthulhu type robot or something. I don't know. But it does seem strange, right? That we have, this promising new cure for this or a promising new that, and it hits the news cycles every day. Or let's go a little more dire and say that, okay, by the way, maybe there's going to be an asteroid strike, right? Like that's in the news every damn day anymore. An asteroid strike, and clearly, we're the dystopia we're living in is becoming more and more prevalent by what types of articles get the ad clicks, right? What types of articles make the money, and so you start to see that all the information that we're consuming in these, let's say, modern times. In the modern times, it seems to be less substance and more clickbait, and so as a result, it is post-truth. And how on God's green earth can you cite anything anymore without literally going to the scientific literature? And then again, there's rebuttals there. Telling you that it's a crazy world we live in. But check this out. This is pretty nuts. Let's go to this article here. And as a good example of this is from sciencealert.com. And check this out. It starts like this. Something in your eyes may reveal if you're at risk of early death. Study shows. Early death, they say. Doom. Don't do the doom. Well, we're going to do a little doom tonight. But not doom from me. Doom from, this. Doom from, I don't know, is this even possible? Is this even possible? Okay, we're going to read a little bit of this so we can see where they're coming from. But do you think you can predict somebody's death, right, from any number of things, right? We're talking science. This is from Science Alert. This isn't the woo-woo alert. This is the sciencealert.com. And so, is this science or is this not? And, I don't know. It got me thinking in terms of, okay, so if you can, let's say, quote, scientifically, we're supposed to trust the science, remember, if you can scientifically determine if you're at risk of early death, then do you actually think there are other ways? We've heard in the past some of these divination techniques, things like reading palms, right? Looking at the lifeline on somebody's hand. Do you think that's another way you can actually determine when somebody's going to die? Robert, by the way, the Robert over on Rockfin has a story in his book about lifelines on your palm, which is amazing, by the way. And he didn't ask me for that. I've read it, and it's really good. And so the question on my mind tonight is this. As we begin, all right? This is the question. This is what I'm thinking, and this is why we do this in this open format, because I want to know what you think about this and what you know about maybe determining the length of somebody's life through, I don't know, divination through some sort of physical means, maybe looking into the eyes. They say the eyes are the windows to the soul. Or, looking at somebody's lifeline on the palm of their hand. Do you think it's possible to actually, maybe not exactly, but let's say ballpark estimate, guess when somebody's going to pass away from some sort of physical something? I don't know. That's what's on my mind tonight. So let's read some of this, and that's the first question as we start. And as always, like you said, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. Love to hear your thoughts on this. What do you know about this? What do you believe? And do you think this stuff is possible? And you know me, like I don't like doomsaying. I don't like asteroid strikes in the media as a form of clickbait. I don't like somebody staring you in the eyeball and saying, "Oh boy, you're gonna pass early," right? I don't like it. I just don't like it, and because for a lot of reasons, right? Like life is hard enough without people like inserting BS into your brain. All right, and I say BS because, if you're gonna do things like this, why not like spread hope? Spread joy, spread things that aren't going to be doom, right? I mean, these are the types of things that, like you think in terms of like biological entities, right? Ourselves, the meat suit, whatever you want to call it, right? Lucky Mud, the golem filled with the spark. I don't know. You fill in the term. But if you think in terms of that, right? Is it true or is it not that we're all going to expire? Of course. Humans, expiration date. Death and taxes, they say, right? But what about this? What about telling somebody by looking into their eyes or reading a line on their palm that they're going to pass away at an early point and not live a long, fruitful life. That right there is a trigger point for me. Because you ever heard the Pandora's box? I remember if good old Mother Strange out there is listening, she says, never call me the strange mother, just call me Mother Strange. All right, Mother Strange, if you're out there listening. When I was a young lad, my mother told me a story. It's about a Greek myth of Pandora and Pandora's box. You guys remember this? I'm not going to get too deep into this, but I do remember being a wee lad and being horrified that left inside the box after all the atrocities roared out into the world, that they tried to close the top on it. And what was left inside Pandora's box? Hope. Hope. All right. And so that's why maybe that's part of what's built into my DNA now after all of this time, because hope's an important thing. Hope for tomorrow, hope for a better future, hope for, well, let's say a world without strife, misery, anger, all that stuff, right? It's important. It's important to me, and I think it's important to most people. And that's why it is one of my trigger points when you get these naysayers, doomsayers that are just trying to tell people that things are going to go take a turn for the worse for them, right? It is one of my trigger points. I've said this. We bring out, you really want to get my goat, you bring up healthcare, taxes, and the end of the world, and how there's no avoiding it. Well, that's for sure. But if you start to tell me it's next year or 6 weeks from now, I'm going to get perturbed. You got it? All right. Anyway, so let's not leave hope in the box. Let's let hope out of the box. All right. So here we go. Let's do this. While we're talking about that, let's go to Science Alert. Something in your eyes may reveal if you're at risk of early death, study shows. And this is science now. A quick and pain-free scan of the human eyeball could one day help doctors identify fast agers who are at greater risk of early mortality. You see these terms? Fast agers. And that's the scientific term, right? In the old days, they would point the bone at you, which we'll get to point the bone tonight. We were talking about a little bit last night in the after chat of the show, the point the bone. And I thought, you know what? I think we should talk about pointing the bone. Talk about hope. Talk about the future in a positive way. But, well, here we go. Let's continue with this. Getting older obviously has an impact on everybody's body, but just because two people have the same number of years under their belt doesn't mean they are physically declining at the same rate. Looking deep into a person's eyes could be a far better way to measure their true biological age, and this could provide a glimpse into the future health of patients. And now look, right? Now look. Again, we always talk about this is that in the sense of, okay, magic is magic until science acknowledges it in some way, and then it's science. All right. So you tell me, which is this? which is this? In the old days, they said that you could look into somebody's eyes and tell them how long they had to live. Right. That's one of those, I don't know, fortune telling techniques. Right. Look into their eyes. Look into the line on their palm. Right. What about this? What about this? So if you're able to do some sort of scan, I don't know, some sort of, anyway, all right, you get my point. You get my point. If you can do this scientifically and determine if somebody's at risk of an early death, well, who was right? Is it science or is it the magic? Or are we just really tapping into the science now? Or, well, is all of this just a bunch of BS? As always, all this is on the table because I am one of those guys that likes to keep all things on the table as far as discussions go, as far as ideas go, as long as it's not ridiculous and, ridiculous, you know what I mean? Well, I'm not going to get into those things because they're just ugly thoughts, and ugly thoughts are ugly thoughts. But anyway, let's continue. And this is where it gets a little creepy because, of course, it's not just like an eyeball scan. It's like you do an eyeball scan and you've got a machine learning algorithm behind this. Straight back from this article on Science Alert, a machine learning model has now been taught to predict a person's years of life simply by looking at their retina. Yes, all right. So they say. The algorithm, now check the language. The algorithm is so accurate, it could predict the age of nearly 47,000 middle-aged and elderly adults in the United Kingdom within a bracket of 3.5 years. 3.5 years, right? So accurate. So accurate. Just over a decade after these retinas were scanned, 1,871 individuals had died, and those who had older-looking retinas were more likely to fall in this group. And here we go, a little bit more from the article. For instance, if the algorithm predicted a person's retina was a year older than their actual age, their risk of death from any cause in the next 11 years went up by 2%. At the same time, their risk of death from a cause other than cardiovascular disease or cancer went up by 3%. That seems awful low, don't you? Don't you think? 2%, 3%? I mean, percentage points matter when we're talking about mortality, but that seems really low. Anyway, so for instance, if the algorithm predicted a person's retina was a year older, I just read that, the findings are purely observational. Oh, you don't say. You don't. Oh, which means we still don't know what is driving this relationship at a biological level. All right. So, well, science or not science? Science or woo? And so the question tonight, as we talk about this, right, we're going to get into this, not just sort of fortune telling, reading the tea leaves and, the looking into the eyes, the windows of the soul, looking at your palms and considering, is there something to this? And so now we're saying, okay, this is on Science Alert. They're saying we've got this data that suggests it's so accurate. It's so accurate. Again, right here from the article. The algorithm is so accurate, it can predict the age of nearly 47,000 middle-aged and elderly adults in the United Kingdom within a bracket of 3.5 years. So accurate, right? And then, of course, a little ways down, the findings are purely observational, which means we still don't know what is driving the relationship at the biological level. Okay, so which is it? Which one is it? So accurate, or we have no idea what the hell we're talking about? Interesting anyway. So this is one thing, but it got me thinking in terms of this whole fortune telling and being able to point the bone at somebody. Meaning that if, for instance, you tell somebody, let's say their whole life, you tell them you're going to die early, right? You're going to die early. You're going to die early. You're going to die early. You keep saying this, right? What happens? Does it become like a brain worm? Does it become your own self-fulfilling prophecy just because somebody else planted this in your head? What do you think? Do you think this is actually a thing? Do you think that we're able to curse ourselves through intention or through somebody else giving us, and I'm not going to say it because it sounds dirty if I say it that way, pointing the bone at us? I don't know. And like I said, you know me, I'd rather think of the future in terms of a positive situation, in terms of, well, who knows how long we're going to live. Let's pray and hope for the longest, do our best to get from here to there, and roll it the best we can, right? I don't want any of this. I don't want to be a part of any of this. Somebody trying to put in my head that this, that, or the other thing is going to happen, because I like to be in charge of that, at least as much as I can be. And, they say that people that are sort of worrywarts or people that are always, just being nasty, negative people, it's like they create their own misery. And misery, of course, causes all kinds of really terrible things to the body, right? Stress is a horrible thing. And so, I don't know. The question tonight is that, and more. Do you think it's possible to predict through any physical means or divination or any sort of magical something that somebody will die early, or at least predict within a reasonable time frame, or things like this? What do you think? Like I said, my take. It does give me a little bit of the EBGBs, and it does actually give me a little bit of the. I hate it. I hate it. Don't steal my future. And so, I ask that you don't steal mine, and I will not steal yours. My fortune for you. And this is across the board. You will have a long and fruitful life. And if you are not happy now, you will find it sooner than later. What are your thoughts on this? Love to hear your ideas. Do you think it's possible to predict or even cause the death of an individual through intention, spells, magic, or otherwise? 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. Don't go anywhere. More after the break. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and we are streaming on Rockfin, YouTube, DLive, and Twitter. And we are broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. And tonight, we're talking about, they say the soul, the eyes are the windows to the soul. Well, do you think it's possible to determine when somebody's going to expire from this mortal life simply by looking into somebody's eyes or in their palm or anything else? And as I was saying, if you do you think that we are actually more, let's say, likely to do it if we're told this over and over again? Like, for instance, the palm of your hand. All right, palmistry, they call this. So if you happen to have a particular genetic trait where you have the lifeline on the palm of your hand, let's say it's short for some reason, some genetic reason, do you think that actually has anything to do with the length of your life? All right. Now, if you go to some palmistry experts, they may tell you that this is the thing. They may tell you it's not a thing, right? But do you think that in terms of that, it's possible to predict when people are going to pass away from something physical like that? Even if it's through some sort of divination or anything else, is this a possible thing? And if there's some sort of, let's say, curse, all right? And what's up, Shadows of the Moon? I see in the chat there. It says, if you believe in curses, they will work. They'll come true, right? And so this is what I'm saying to you. And this is the question, right? Do you think it's possible to curse somebody through this method of pointing the bone? Do you think magic is real in that sense, or is it just the power of suggestion that if you get this fortune teller trying to give you a reading and tell you the end is nigh? Well, yeah, okay. You know where I stand on this, but I want to know, what is your thought? Do you think this is actually possible to determine it through any way whatsoever, whether it's a physical means or some sort of magical means? Or again, we're going to get to palmistry in just a second. And of course, the power of voodoo, the power of suggestion. Do you think this stuff is possible? Or do you think this is all just a bunch of hocus pocus that has been given, well, let's say it's a status that is not really worthy of the billing of what it's supposed to be? You tell me. Again, one more time, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. We'll put you on the show. Love to hear your thoughts on this. And again, like I said, I am not wishing any of this on anybody. I'm just curious what you think. Do you think that in terms of divining the future of somebody, whether it's going to turn left or turn right, or go up or go down, or send you into an early grave, you think these things are possible? Well, according to this article, they say that from Science Alert, something in your eyes may reveal if you're at risk of early death, this study shows. Okay, I do like the operative word here is may reveal. All right, so anyway, we're going to get to this. Palmistry, all right? And here's one of the one, right? The reading the palm, the lifeline. That's the one that most people know. This is from the Ministry of Truth, Wikipedia. Palmistry, also known as palm reading, chiromancy, or chirology, is the practice of fortune-telling through the study of the palm. The practice is found all over the world with numerous cultural variations. Those who practice chiromancy are generally called palmists, hand readers, hand analysts, or chirologists. All right. There are many and often conflicting interpretations of various lines and palmar features across various teachings of palmistry. Palmistry is practiced by Hindu Brahmins and also indirectly referenced in the Book of Job. The contradictions between different interpretations, as well as the lack of evidence for palmistry's predictions, have caused palmistry to be viewed as a pseudo-science by academics. Well, what about eyeballistry? What would you call that? Ocularistry? I don't know. What would you call this? Is this science or is this woo? Or is this just clickbait? Anyway, something in your eyes may reveal if you're at risk of early death, the study shows. Doesn't that sound very much like palmistry? I think so. Just from the scientific community, from the academics that call this pseudoscience. So why is Science Alert putting out pseudoscience, may I ask? The plot thickens, does it not? I don't know. So what are your thoughts? We're going to get into the history of palmistry and the rest of this stuff, but, that's less important. More important is, do you believe this stuff is real? Do you believe it's possible? Like the mighty Rohan out there says that I will not do a reading. Like I'm not. These are my words. I'll get to Rohan in a sec, but I don't want I don't want anybody telling my fortune. I don't want something in my head that's going to make me, even in the deepest sleep, in my dream somewhere, enter that doubt in my brain. All right. And so Rohan said to me, "Oh, that's cool. You just like to do your own magic." That's fine. I guess I do. And I just don't want anybody dropping that in my brain about what may come. All right. I want to be in charge as much as possible as what may come, as much as we can be. All right. As far as people go. So anyway, what are your thoughts? Do you think it is possible to, again, through some sort of means, divination, through some sort of physical means, looking at people's palms or into their eyes or looking at their face or who knows? Do you think it's possible to determine their age of death approximately? Will they die early? Will they live a long life? Or do you think this is just a bunch of hogwash? Somewhere in between. Love to hear your thoughts. One more time, 702-957-1037. Let's go to Joseph in Iowa. Welcome to Troubled Minds, my friend. How are you tonight?
I'm all right. I was thinking about like rappers and how they predict. They're like a lot of them when they die, they kind of like some of them when they blow up, they always have songs about how they think they're gonna die or like something like they indicate their death before it happens, but like a machine and an algorithm and stuff, I would think that's just like looking into like the science and predictions. I don't think that would be that wouldn't be like, I mean, the soul, unless it's like a quantum computer of some sort. Like, I think the soul has to do with it. Like they say we judge people and like know who they are in like 7 seconds or something like that, I heard. But like, there's definitely something inside of us that we can read people's behaviors and then maybe see a situation and make predictions on that,
Yeah. Okay. So it's a good point there with like the quantum computers and stuff. So, I mean, clearly, like if we're talking about like a health picture, like this isn't like, like you have super high blood pressure and, you're diabetic and you know what I mean? Like all these other things, right? Like I get that, like actual like health indicators, right? And so if you take a lot of those health indicators from people and you put them into a computer, and in that sense, clearly, right? It's just that's sort of common sense in a term, okay? However, right, interesting that you put it to the term of a quantum computer and the algorithms. So imagine Facebook and the rest of these guys, right, the technocrats out there that are collecting our data constantly. I wonder if some sort of long-term study could be conducted where stress factors are actually linked to social media and early demise. That's an interesting thought there. Of course, we'd never catch that study, would we? Because they covered up. But I don't know. Good point there. Do you believe that? So
you're saying like Facebook would set you up, like jinx you?
Well, kinda. Except of course, if they were, they wouldn't be telling us, right? But what I am saying is that so Instagram has actually been noted to be make young women suicidal, right? Because everybody photoshops themselves and puts their beautiful self up on Instagram, and then everybody that scrolls through it is like, wow, everybody looks great except for me. But hold on, right? Like those are fake photos. That's fake news. And so it causes depression in people. And so maybe, I don't know. Is it intentional? Some say it is. I don't know. But anyway, so that aside, do you think that there are ways to maybe through this fortune telling, through looking into the eyes or reading people's face or their palm, do you think that stuff is possible, or do you think it's just a bunch of BS?
I think it's possible, but it would take like non-human capabilities really, or like really, I don't know, it would take something. Yeah, it wouldn't be human as we know it. A person that, I would think it would take a person or some type of Neuralink breakthrough would easily be able to. That would be almost cheating.
Well, kind of just
Because then
tapping
you
into
could,
your
like,
brain, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
if,
I mean,
like, a computer got a hold of you, and if a computer got a hold of your brain, and like a whole bunch of them, like, it would be, I think that's a lot. I think we talked about that one time too. Like, you could maybe get the full picture of, of what they have, at least.
yeah. Well, I mean, that's different, right? So that would actually be an interesting experiment as well, right? So if you tapped a Neuralink into somebody and could actually measure, like, in real time, sort of those stress levels based on all kinds of different factors, maybe that is the pointing the bone, or right. I don't know. I mean, clearly we do know that stress has a negative aspect on just people's lives in general, and of course maybe their longevity. If you're just miserable every day, and some people are just kind of like constantly like thrive off of misery. And I don't know. It seems like you're just making yourself sick to me. But fine if it's your choice. I just don't like the idea of somebody being able to kind of drop that in your lap and cause that by telling you that the game is up sooner than it should be. I don't know. So okay. So you think it is possible, but the thing is that it wouldn't be human. It would be some sort of maybe a magical source or something from somewhere else. Maybe alien. Maybe, who knows? Maybe algorithmic. I don't know. So you do think it's possible?
I think it would be. I think it goes back to your last episode. It would be hybrid X-Men, people that would be super subconsciously connected to reality, and they could peer, and they would be able to make. And it would be pretty accurate. It would be like a bunch of Sherlock Holmes, but even better. Like, that's what I would think. Like that. Yeah, I just lost my train of thought where I was going with that, but
that's okay. X-Men.
It's like soul testing. Like I said, I talked about soul testing before. I don't know. It's you can tell. Sparta used to do this a lot. They would know a child before. They would judge a child based on what, it didn't have any strength. I mean, it's just a baby, but they would leave babies behind that didn't make the cut, and they're going off of straight behaviors, eye contact, stuff like that.
Yeah, well, I mean, but again, this is part of the issue I have with it, right? So if other people are determining the future of other people, right? That's the type of stuff we get. We get sort of a morbid, just throw the lives away sort of situation, based on what,
exactly,
right? Yeah. It's ugly. It becomes ugly, and that's why, like I said, it is one of my trigger points. Like, I'm okay with divination and this stuff, and people doing the cards and all the things, but when it gets to the point where you start to tell them that things are not looking good for you, it's like, come on.
I wonder though, like, through all those generations of them doing that, because like this freedom we have is like relatively, I mean, I don't know, maybe it was a lot. We've had a lot of freedoms out in the wild and stuff, or however we survived this long, but maybe shit. Fucking forgot what I was gonna say.
Hey! Cursing on the radio, man. Don't do that. Don't do that, please. No, that's fine. It's fine. All right. Now you know. All right.
But,
so it's okay. It's okay. It's hard, right? It's hard to keep a coherent thought as you're thinking about things and speaking about things. And yeah, I get you, man. It's okay.
I was talking about like how they go. Oh man, I can't even think.
That's okay. That's okay.
Yeah, just move on from it.
All right, that's cool. That's cool. We're also out of time. We got to get to James as well. So your final thought here. So you think it is possible? It's just kind of not human, right? That you're going to be able to tap into something else. What else? What else you got, my friend?
Oh, I was getting at if the thing that they were looking into for all those generations that they were testing and like looking at, maybe eventually it's like looking into the abyss and it looks back at you. Maybe that baby grows to be that, like that's what they're seeing is it seeing into you and its purity or something like that, you know?
Gotcha. So okay. So you're open to the idea that this is possible. Just the methods here seem to be a little bit woo-woo for now. Science hasn't caught up. This article seems a little bit sketchy. And okay, good stuff. Good stuff. I appreciate the take. Joseph in Iowa here.
The article is kind of BS.
Yeah, right. There's something sketchy about it. Joseph, I appreciate the phone call. Joseph here has a YouTube channel called Hydra Host. Check it out. Links in the description. He does original music and some other stuff. You're the best, my friend. Thanks for the phone call. Talk to you soon.
Yep.
Have a good night. There you go. As simple as that. 702-957-1037. We'll put you on the show. Do you think it's possible to tell somebody, or actually to be able to divine when somebody's going to pass away? The lifeline on your palm for this palmistry stuff, looking into their eyes, reading their face. There are lots of things. The tea leaves, all kinds of stuff. Tarot cards. Do you think any of this is possible in terms of, well, let's say predicting an early demise? And then not only that, do you think it's possible to maybe inadvertently curse somebody? And this is where I'm going tonight with this, because the question's fascinating to me, but then also, is that possible to do that point the bone situation, which we'll get to shortly. We're going to get to that, I promise, tonight. But to actually put it into somebody's brain that maybe they hadn't even considered before, but now it's kind of like eating at their subconscious and making them become, well, I don't know, slightly stressed, worried. Is it going to cause a difference? I don't know. You tell me. One more time, 702-957-1037. I don't know the answers. I don't even do magic, right? I don't know. I don't even know where I stand on it, right? If it's real or not. But I do know the power of suggestion is a very, very, very powerful thing, and something we shouldn't mess with in terms of just feeding negativity. That's my take, and that's part of why when I read this article today, when I first saw the telling when somebody's going to pass away early by looking at their eyes, I about went nuts. I was about to call up Science Alert and tell them how irresponsible they are. Right? Anyway, just there you go. I'm not quite that mad, but I'm kind of mad. But anyway, all right. So looking to hear your thoughts on this, and 702-957-1037. Let's go to our good friend James Salcedo of Salcedo Paranormal. Welcome to Troubled Minds, my friend. How are you tonight?
Thank you. Good. Glad to be here. Great topic.
Right on. Thank you. What do you think? So first, do you think it is possible to be able to tell through some physical or a divination technique that somebody's going to pass away early? That's the first question.
I think maybe possible. It's kind of funny if it's possible. Maybe, possibly. I think, though, that I do agree that it should not be done lightly. Or not be taken lightly. If it is a thing, and I mean, I know some people say yes, some no. I know there's, you always have to be careful when you're dealing with anyone that is supposedly able to do that through whatever methods. I feel like you have to kind of, I don't know, you have to look into their almost like their record in a way of, if you can, and if you can't, then just keep that in mind that they could be wrong.
Yeah, well, of course. And so Adonna brings up a good point in the chat, says, I couldn't handle knowing, right? And so that becomes the next question here. So imagine if actually, let's say through some magical thing, you could know when you were going to pass away, James, the day it happens, right? Maybe not how, but let's say the time frame. Would you want to know that?
Good question. I don't know. I don't know. That's a hard one. I almost feel like, though, again, because things, there's choices all the time. We all have choices we make, and everyone has choices they make. I'd have a hard time, maybe believing that was going to happen for sure.
Yeah, right. So what do you do? Let's say they say it's we won't say the year because I'm not trying to point the bone at anybody. But let's say it's on a Tuesday afternoon. It's been predicted, right? What do you do? You like do you like get in bed and like grab your favorite food and sit there like it's your last meal and before death row? It's like.
Yeah. No.
No. No. It's again. You see my frustration with this type of stuff. But okay. So then, so you do believe it's possible, and it should be done responsibly. But then also, how about what if there's something to this? What if maybe through this science article they can determine the cause? You think this is a thing scientifically? Clearly, aside from other health factors. Maybe some sort of science voodoo. Do you think this is possible for science to kind of catch up and maybe determine this may or may not be the truth?
I don't know. I think you mentioned earlier that magic is just science that we don't necessarily understand yet. So maybe, but yeah, it's maybe. But again, I always go back to, and like I said in the chat, there's. If you have a tool, whatever that tool is, you can use it for good things or bad things. And you just have to be careful what you use it for and why you're using it and the reasons you're using it and if you mean to do good or not.
Gotcha. All right. Intention matters, doesn't it? Intention matters.
Well, because whatever we can make, whatever our species can make, we will make, I think. At least someone in the species will make whatever they can. And I think eventually. I don't know that we can stop that from happening.
That's true, but here's the flip side of that coin. So imagine like predictably, or let's say reliably, a reliable prediction can be made scientifically. That's good, right? Because then you would know, okay, look, my health factors say this, and this based on actual like data. That's one thing, and I should really do this or that or cut this out of my diet or like the life expectancy through the algorithm now says plus 2.75 years. You know what I'm saying? Like that's a good thing, right? But I don't know. Am I right to be frustrated with this idea?
Yeah, no, I don't blame you. It just depends on the person behind, this tool.
Exactly right. And so again, algorithmic control of not just our data, but now maybe our minds through this type of thing. This is why it pisses me off too when we're talking about maybe predicting through science, because how accurate would this be anyway? We're about out of time, my friend. Your final thought here?
Just like I said, and I think I've pretty much said it, just, tools are okay if you use them the right way and if you have the right intent behind them and you mean to do good. And yeah, you'll make mistakes, but at least if you're trying to do good, that's, it's more likely to not be as bad as if you were trying to harm someone.
Amen to that. James here has a podcast called Salcedo Paranormal. He does 5 nights a week, paranormal stuff. Check it out. Scroll down, links in the description. You're the best, my friend. We'll talk to you later tonight, James. Have a fantastic night. Thanks for the call. Thanks for listening.
No problem. Thank you. Have a good night.
You too. All right. Looking to hear from you. What do you think? Is it possible to actually predict an early death? And if so, would you want to know? Oh, boy. Got my trigger point. I'm stepping on my own trigger point. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. Don't go anywhere. More palmistry, reading the future, and early demise when we return. Be right back. We are talking about the alien abduction phenomenon.
The aliens are looking through your eyes and they're accessing your optic nerve. I'm doing fast. Through that optic nerve, they're transferring to your brain. People are random images as they traverse
So maybe,
and they also feel them planting or receiving memories or ideas or images.
Broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest into the digital darkness.
good evening and welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and hello to all of you who may also have troubled minds. What's going on, guys? It is Wednesday night, which means it's one of the nights we get together and talk about all the things we're not allowed to talk about. We do it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at 7 p.m. Pacific. And what are those things, you may wonder? Well, let me explain. No, too much. Let me sum up. Those things are aliens, conspiracy, the paranormal, the government, academia, the 24-hour news cycle, propaganda, and the general feeling that we live in the upside down. Tonight, we're talking about curses. We're talking about, is it possible to read the tea leaves, read somebody's eyes, read their face, read their palm, and predict an early demise? And if you do, is it a way of causing that yourself? Do you believe in curses? Do you believe in magic, as they say? And that's the question tonight, and that's what we're talking about, and that's what we're thinking about. I don't have these answers. I wish I did, but here's my thought on this. And I've been saying this, and I'll keep saying this, as it is one of my trigger points. If words are magic, then it is all of our responsibility to cast positive magic as much as possible. Is it not? Is it not? And I'm not saying to ignore all of the terrible things in the world. Clearly, those things need to be addressed, and we need to be realistic. But if we're always doomsaying, and we're always trying to say that tomorrow is going to be worse than today, then, well, aren't we really doing the Oedipus complex to ourselves? Aren't we making our own self-fulfilling prophecy by being just a Debbie Downer constantly? I don't like it. I just don't like it. Let's find reasons for joy, find reasons for life, find reasons to be positive. That's how I see this. And I don't even know if I believe in magic, to be perfectly honest. But I do believe that words have meaning. And by using words, I think it's our responsibility to be responsible, 100%. So what we're doing tonight is exactly that. As we talk about this, we're taking your phone calls, and we got a couple we're going to go to right away. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. We'll put you on the show. And you can also click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. Easy peasy is that. We're streaming on Rockfin, D-Live, YouTube, and Twitter, broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. Let's go to our good friend Jack in Oregon. What's up, brother? Sorry to make you wait. Welcome to Troubled Minds. How are you tonight?
Hey. Wow, what a topic.
Thank you. What are your thoughts? So for a couple things. First, do you believe it's possible to predict an early demise of somebody through any method, whether it's scientific, woo-woo, or otherwise? And then second, do you think maybe spoiling that or causing that yourself by the prediction is sort of a way of cursing somebody? What are your thoughts here?
Well, firstly, I think, yeah, it's a good premise, but how you phrase the question is kind of scary. I mean, like, does that have to do with death and that sort of thing? How about, well, I don't know. I've gone to the carnival before when I was younger and had a gypsy tell me my fortune from my hand, and it was not a good fortune. And sure enough, it actually played out. I mean, kind of, now that, like 20-something years later.
Okay. So, but so the question remains: do you think that was an accurate prediction, and that she was tapped into something like the Akashic Record or something? Shout out to Jess Rogie if you're out there listening. They just had a show on the Akashic Record just before this show on Fringe FM. But if so, do you think she was able to tap into something like that, or do you think that it was sort of that Oedipus complex, a self-fulfilling prophecy, that because you knew this, it was buried in the back of your head, and you made this come to pass? What do you think?
No, absolutely. I believe in the latter. I think that I firmly believe in placebo. The power of placebo, whatever the 30% of any medical experiment, placebo is a real thing.
Yeah, it definitely is. It's why they have control groups and they have all that stuff. Like, it's real. And so the power of the human brain is impressive in many ways. And I think that's why we talk about these things in this manner, because think about it in terms of, if the human mind has the ability to cure itself, to heal the body through that placebo effect, then it also, right, and I maintain this is the truth here, has a way of making itself sick, right? Causing its own problems if it's allowed to. You see what I mean?
Right, but the way you phrase it sounds death. Okay, I don't know about that. That's a little bit over the top.
No, it's definitely over the top. And
but as far as just like feeling sick and not being well, or, I mean, my God, I go to the store and you can see the look on people's faces. Some people have masks on. Some people don't have masks on. They're all looking at each other. You can see it.
Yes, that's true. That is very true. It just happened to me a couple days ago. I was sitting there thinking the exact same thing. I'm like, look, these people hate each other. Like, whatever.
It's not what you think about them. It's what they think about themselves. It's very important. It's important. Like, if it's that important, I'll put my mask on and, make you feel better. Right?
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I wear the mask. I do. I literally, like, there's so much stress and strife and drama in the world today. I'm not trying to create any more. It's no skin off my back to put a mask on and go into the store. I'm more concerned if the orange juice is on sale. You know what I'm saying?
Right. I'm just saying that, yeah, I'm a firm believer in placebo and, right. If you're in a good mood, good things are going to happen. Hello? Right? Okay.
I'm with you. Hello. Right. Absolutely. And so what about the curse stuff? So do you think it is possible then for somebody to put like that thought in your brain that kind of causes that curse? Do you think that's a real thing?
Yes. Just like I said, I had my palm read. It was a bad reading. I've lived that life.
And you don't recommend it.
It sucks.
Well, okay, Jack, I'm glad you made it through it, and you seem to still be laughing. So that's good stuff there. So, what are your other thoughts on this idea? And again, I know that saying death is sort of a bombastic way of going at this, but it is the finality of the human experience. And so, again, right? I know it's going to be super rare to go in and say, "Read my palm," and they're going to be like, "You're going to die next week." Nobody's going to tell you that. All right. But it's a slippery slope of negativity from here to there. You see what I'm saying? That's all I'm saying. I'm with you. Death is a little bombastic, but I'm a radio talk show guy. What am I supposed to do, bro? What am I supposed to do?
Well, on a lighter note, just as I exit, like 6 months ago, someone came up to me and they gave me a box. They go, "Put this in the chill room." And I go, "I can't put this in the chill room. You need to package this better," because it was a box with an octopus in it with all the legs hanging out of the box. I'm like, "I can't do this. You guys need to." Well, they're like, "Well, it's for an employee, so they don't care about the legs hanging out of the box." So I took it to the chill room.
Okay, all right. So what you're saying is, don't worry about all those tentacles hanging out of the box. I'm with you, bro.
Basically,
I couldn't agree more.
Basically, yeah. It's just a job, dude. All got a job.
I couldn't agree more. Jack, you're the best. I appreciate the phone call. Always a pleasure. Talk to you soon. Have a great night. There you go. I think we're going to roll with that. We're going to call that the collective fortune of the night. Don't mind those tentacles hanging out of the box, guys. Don't worry about that. Great stuff, Jack. Looking to hear your thoughts. So do you think it's possible? We're going to get to this in a minute. So they call it in Australia, they call it pointing the bone, right? They call it voodoo or Aboriginal magic or some other things. We're going to get to some actual like real life stuff, right? Where supposedly this happens. And we'll get to that shortly. But first we're taking your phone calls because as always, I'd rather hear from you. 702-957-1037. I think it's possible to predict somebody's early demise, or even like a positive or negative future. Let's say, I'm with Jack. Let's back off the gloom and doom here. And do you think that stuff's possible, or do you think it's sort of that placebo effect, like he described, that self-fulfilling prophecy? Once it's been introduced into your brain has a way of making these things happen, really against your will, because the thought has been introduced. That's what's on my mind tonight, and looking to hear yours. Let's go to Robert in Pennsylvania. Thanks for being patient with us, my friend. Welcome to Troubled Minds. How are you?
Fine. How are you?
Doing very well. Go right ahead. I'm sure you got some ideas here. Your story, by the way, regarding this was fantastic. I thought it was. When I was thinking about this show tonight, I was like, "That's right. Robert wrote a story about this." What do you got to tell us, my friend?
Well, if you don't mind, I'd like to dwell on the story there and what its meaning is.
Sure.
All right. A 30-some-year-old woman, her girlfriend convinces her to visit a fortune teller. All right, and she goes with her, and the girlfriend gets a really nice fortune reading from the fortune teller, but the main character in the story, the fortune teller looks at her hands and says, "You have no lifelines." That's the name of the story, by the way, lifelines. You have no lifelines. You're going to have a short life, all right, which rattles her. All right, that's not exactly what she expected to hear when she went in there. But the problem is, and this is where you're getting at, and what that fortune teller did was plant a suggestion in her mind that she could, maybe immediately wave off, but it lingers there, and it drives her insane. All right, to a point where, she envies. She's at a restaurant. She's envying her girlfriend because her girlfriend has beautiful lifelines, all right, as opposed to her own. And it drives her so crazy that she takes a knife in her kitchen and cuts lifelines in her hand, all right? And the story itself is based on where the inspiration comes from is, I don't have lifelines in either one of my hands.
Okay, and so, did you get a reading similar at some time in your life where the fortune teller was aghast at your physical appearance, or your hands? I mean,
no, that never happened. But what did happen was that in my trying to find my way. What's typical of an 18-year-old or whatever, I would look at that and I would notice that and I would think to myself, I'm not going to have a long life. Well, guess what? I've had a long life.
Congratulations, my friend. God bless you. Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
So, but everything you're talking about, whether it's palmistry, voodoo, reading the tarot cards, all of that comes down to the power of suggestion. It's like some people can be hypnotized and some people not. If I tell somebody, you're going to have a heart attack in 3 days, All right, that person, I have a strong heart, but it lingers there. It's a suggestion to the brain, and it's quite possible that person will have a heart attack in 3 days.
Yeah, but, well, you got to think too. Our subconscious brain is always at work, and we're sleeping for what, like, roughly a third of our life, let's say. And so, even while we're sleeping, that's creeping in there. That's doing its thing as we sleep. Kind of even vegging out, commuting, listening to music, whatever. It's in there. How do you get rid of it? Right? I think that's probably another good question here. Is once something like that is sort of set in, that just the doom. And again, it doesn't have to be death, okay? Just, let's say bad news. Like the rest of your life, you're going to live a long life, but it's going to be a bad, horrific life, right? How do you get rid of that thought? Is that possible, Robert?
It is hard, all right? Because for one thing, you think you already have. You just flip it off. You move on with your life, but it lingers there. And maybe that's why so many people have to go see therapists, right? Because some parent told them, you'll never amount to anything. You're this and you're that and you're dumb and you're whatever. That stuff lingers in the brain, and I have to say that it is really, really next to impossible to get it out once it's introduced.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense to me. Just because we're people. We're not robots. Like you can spit in the face of a robot supposedly and tell it all the horrible things in the world, but it's still going to power up and do what it's supposed to do tomorrow. We're not robots, man. And that power of suggestion is a thing. I believe it's a thing, and that's why I just I don't know. Some of this stuff it does get my goat because. So what about cursing people? Right. So do you think that even inadvertently, like I said, the words have power, words have meaning. So I don't know if that spells in particular, right? Even though you can get into the etymology and
words
a spell.
Words are the most powerful, weapon that ever existed. All right. If I say to somebody, I'm putting a curse on you, all right, you will have nothing but bad luck for the rest. How many people get all flustered, by this old, superstition that if you break a mirror, you're going to have 7 years bad luck.
Yeah, well, exactly. And so, do you believe that? I don't. I don't. I just don't
believe that.
I just don't believe it.
That doesn't register with my brain. That doesn't register. But if somebody turned to me and said, you have upset me, all right, and I'm throwing a curse on you, all right, and 3 days, and in 3 days, you'll be driving a car, all right, you'll be in your car, and you'll lose control, and you'll crash, and you'll die. What I'm likely to do is on the third day, stay home.
Yeah, right. But still, it's enough to make you alter habits. And when you alter habits, again, this is from the ancients, the Oedipus complex, right? You'll marry your mother and kill your father, right? And he never would have, this whole thing never would have come to pass if there wasn't a prophecy dropped on him as a baby that they're like, oh, goodness gracious, we can't have that. And they got rid of him. And of course, infamously picked up by the farmer, raised the thing. He ends up fulfilling it because they actually made it happen. If they had just ignored it and done the right thing, or maybe not, that it wouldn't have come to pass. But it did. And so that becomes the question, doesn't it? Yeah. Yeah.
You take and you fashion a doll. All right. You stick pins in the doll. All right. Let's say, as an example, you turn to your boss and you show him a doll, and you say, "This doll here, it looks like you, doesn't it? Because that's you. I'm going to stick a pin in it, and you're going to have, right through the heart, and you're going to have a heart attack, in 3 days or whatever." That's what voodoo is. It's the power of suggestion. All this is planting a seed in the mind that festers in there. And that's why I wrote that story, to show how, I may have went off the deep end with it, all right, or exaggerated it, but to show just how something like that can drive somebody crazy.
Yeah, exactly. Like even the most sane of people, right? The most grounded of people, right? Whatever term you want to use, it's still words matter and suggestion matters. And just like Jack was saying, placebo is a thing, and the power of the brain to do miraculous things exists. That's literally proven science.
Jack has a point there too about the opposite effect. All right, about the opposite effect of something evil. All right, you can plant a suggestion in somebody's brain that is something good.
Exactly, and that's my whole point here, right? And so do you agree with me that it is our responsibility as human beings to not be downers on each other? For crying out loud, we have enough to deal with. Being human is hard. So why are we going to be dropping words like this to plant that suggestion? Shouldn't we plant love and patience and all the rest of that?
Since the beginning of the human race, it's been the case. Are we ever going to reach a point collectively where we all recognize that fact and treat each other, like we would like to be treated ourselves? I don't think that's ever going to come.
You don't think so, huh?
Well, because I think we only really come to grips with it when we pass, and we pass into the next world. I was saying a few shows ago about my mentor. All right, it was terrible to watch her posts, to read her posts. All right, and her emails. All right, because she's responsible that Lifelines was ever written, all right, because, or any of those stories, all right. She saw something talented in me, and she pushed. Anyway, I knew then, that she was going to die, because she was home for a short time and back in the hospital for a much longer time. So going back and forth like that. And her name is Michelle Devon, and I knew the end was coming, that she had pulled off the Lice Road and taken the exit. All right, it was on the exit at that time. I think that's how you really can tell if somebody's going somewhere. I've seen this too much in my life, where this revolving door between hospital and home ends up,
not good. Way. Not good, in a bad way. Yeah, and again, if we're cursing ourselves constantly, how do we ever expect to get anywhere? You're the best, Robert. I appreciate the phone call. Talk to you soon. Great stuff as always. Do you want to hang on? We're going to take a break.
I don't think most people curse each other or hate each other, but there's always going to be people that do, and there's not a doggone thing that can cure it.
Exactly.
Okay, you're going to commercial. Talk to you later.
Have a great one. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. 702-957-1037. Be right back. More Troubled Minds on the way. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and we're streaming on Rockbin, YouTube, D-Live, and Twitter, and we're broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. We're taking your phone calls tonight as we discuss the placebo effect, the nocebo effect, the power of the human mind. Do you think it's possible to curse somebody through any sort of divination, suggestion, even the power of mere words that are not spells themselves, but you do, of course, spell words? So you tell me, is the Oedipus complex a real thing, or do you think, I don't know, reading lifelines from your palm or from your eyeballs or reading people's faces or the tea leaves or any of the rest of this? You tell me what you believe. Love to hear your thoughts. One more time, 702-957-1037. 1037. That's 702-957-1037, and we'll put you on the show. It's as easy as that, and I promise you I'll be nice to you. Even if you're a sour punk, I'll be nice to you. It's happened quite a lot, and well, not really a lot, because honestly, we attract a really great group of people here, so I've got no complaints. Our calls are top notch, and 99.97% of the individuals who have ever called in have just wanted to have an honest conversation, and that's what this has always been about. Let me take you to this real quick as we're talking about this, and looking to hear from you, of course. But check this out. This is from Ultra Culture, Culture with a K, Ultra Culture. It says, scared to death. Aborigines put curse on Aussie PM, right? That would be Aussie, yeah. So in 2004, Indigenous Australians invoked an ancient curse on Australian Prime Minister John Howard by pointing the bone at the Conservative politician to protest against his decision to scrap a top Aboriginal body. Aborigines believed that to point a kangaroo bone at someone is to bring that person ill fortune, and the black magic is strong enough to cause death. An Aboriginal woman dressed in possum skirt and a traditional tribal makeup confronted Howard on Tuesday after he made a speech in a rural town and pointed a 2.5 centimeter bone at the politician to place a silent curse on him. The Aboriginal woman, known as Moopor, M-O-O-P-O-R, was not permitted to speak with the media in line with Aboriginal culture, but the head of the axed Aboriginal body said the curse was a message to Howard to heed black Australians, okay? Quote, this curse could go two ways. It could enlighten him and lift a mental block that Mr. Howard has about Indigenous Australians, Aborigine Jeff Clark told reporters. He continued, Mr. Howard can refuse to ignore the message at his own peril and be put under a curse up until the next federal election. Okay, there we go. Cursing elections. What do you think? Legit? Now, the ceremony of bone pointing is a common ritual for bringing sickness among the Australian Arunta, A-R-U-N-T-A. The pointing bone or pointing stick is usually about 9 inches in length, pointed at one end and tipped with a lump of resin at the other. The stick is endowed with magical power by being sung over. That is, curses are muttered over it, such as, may your heart be rent asunder, and may your head and throat be split open. And of course, I'm reading this from an article. I'm not saying this. Everybody relax. It's not like that. On the evening of the day on which the bone has been sung, the wizard creeps stealthily into the shadows until he can see the victim's face clearly by the firelight. He then points the bone in the victim's direction and utters in a low tone the curses with which the stick was endowed earlier in the day. All right, and so they got some examples here, and well, does this work? Does it work? I laugh, but it's not funny. It's funny, not funny. And so that's the point here, right? Like I used the term, and this is why I don't do it. This is why we're not going to do tarot on the show. We're not going to do any of this stuff, because I think it is important as human beings that we don't try and be negative, right? We don't try and point that bone at each other, and even on your worst enemy, right? Like, don't they say what is the magic thing? I've read some of this stuff, and again, like I said, I don't know anything about it. Again, I'm a knucklehead on the internet with a microphone. That's it. But I do know, I've read my Spider-Man, and Peter Parker said, with a microphone in the internet comes great responsibility. And I don't think that's exactly what he said. But I do believe it, in that if you're sowing division all day, you're pitting people against each other, you're telling people that the end is nigh. I don't like it. And I've said that quite often, so now you know where I stand. But I wonder about you. What do you think? Do you think it is possible to actually take a voodoo doll, for instance, and cause damage to somebody? Do you think it is possible to point the bone as depicted in this article? Again, all the sources I'm talking about tonight for the information I got for this show, always links in the description. Just check it out. Go to YouTube and you'll find all the stuff I'm talking about. Because again, I'm not making these things up. This stuff is real, but how real is it? All right. And that's the question. That's what spawns a conversation. And that's why we do this. And there you go. What's up? What's up? Brian After Dark says, Mike used the phrase pointing the bone regarding the topic. Yes, indeed. Indeed. And that came from that article. It came from exactly why I just don't like this idea of telling people their future. All right. Shouldn't we be allowed to create our own future in our own brains, in our own mind, with our own hands and our own logic and power and our own work ethic and our own everything? Don't you think we should be allowed that? And again, I think it's an interesting thought. And what's going on? Robert says, was that Aboriginal person arrested for assault with a deadly bone? Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think so. Pro bono. You guys, the Rock Finn is the peanut gallery, and they're always making jokes over there. Great stuff. But I don't know. So as always, right? I don't even know if there's any reality to any of this stuff. But it doesn't matter what I think. It only matters what you think, because it's your reality. It's not mine, right? Mine is mine. Yours is yours. But again, we share it. And so if we're sharing this reality, I think we do have that responsibility to be good. I mean, for crying out loud, there's so much of that negativity out there that it's just, again, like I said, look, nobody tells me to do this, right? Nobody tells me to say, Mike, get on the microphone tonight and talk about this, or think about that, or nobody tells me. I could quit tomorrow and never come back. Or worse, I could decide, you know what, I'm done with this paranormal, the conspiracy talk, and I'm gonna just do politics from now on, right? Like, I could do that. I could change my mind tomorrow, and you know what? It gets more traction. You know why? Because it's negativity. That's why. Because you're pitting people against each other. Because you're dividing people. And notice, right? Notice how the media just eats that crap up. They eat it up. They love when we hate each other. They love it, right? And this is why a show like this, right? Again, I've tried my very best from the beginning of this to not be that guy. All right, because you can. You get a microphone, you can wave your arms like Alex Jones and scream and holler, and it's this person's fault, and it's that person's fault, and this group of people and that group of people, and this is why you guys should all hate each other, because nobody wants to get together and help. Nah, man, why? Why? Literally, why? Rolling out of bed in the morning, we have that. Why do you got to push that when literally without even a thought it creeps into your brain, you know? Shouldn't we be doing everything to not make that happen? Anyway, that's the whole point here. That's why I'm talking about this tonight. I think it's a critical thing that words matter. Words are spells. And those spells, again, if you believe in magic or not, they can be incredibly powerful. And that's what we were talking about with Robert there on the chat and on the phone call, and why we're also looking to hear from you tonight. There's all kinds of stuff. I got all kinds of stuff with curses. How about this? How about the Kennedy family? Do you think they're cursed? And this is another one that I wanted to get into tonight as well, which we'll continue talking about. So imagine this, right? So if we're talking about curses, all right, and if the power of suggestion can be a curse to an individual, what about this? What about cursing a generation? What about cursing, maybe not a generation, but how about a generational type curse? Meaning that the Kennedys, right? They've had some pretty horrific stuff happen to their family, right? But again, right, the Kennedys are one of those political families in the United States. Everybody knows JFK, infamously assassinated. Robert has said that this is probably when one of the timelines split, because Kennedy was a galvanizing political opinion that was bringing people together, and the powers that be didn't want it. And so they peeled it off, and then the assassination happened, and there's a whole bunch of conspiracy that goes behind that, right? But the point is, what do you think? What, RFK shot and killed? What about the plane crashes? What about curses and curses and curses? Do you think it's possible to have some sort of generational curse? Here's another example. What about Bruce Lee? Right? The height of physical fitness, right? They said he had some sort of heart issue or something, or that's still a conspiracy theory, right? That's still one of those things. But what about his son, Brandon Lee, right? Filming a movie, for crying out loud, The Crow. He gets shot on set by a prop gun. And if that wasn't horrific enough, right? Look at the news recently. These things happen. But do you think if you curse somebody with enough power, do you think that curse can actually be generational? And let's take this to the next level. What if it's generational? What about, can you curse an entire country? What about, can you curse the entire world? What about this timeline? What about this universe? I don't know. This is what I'm saying to you. Are there limits to these things? I know my words have limits, because guess what? They're not actually broadcasting out to Alpha Centauri. Sorry. I'm sorry. It's not. Well, at least not quite yet. It's going to take some light years to get there. But you get my point, right? At some point, these things, even if they're true, they have a limit, don't they? Or can you cast some sort of generational curse? Those are my thoughts tonight. Just a standard Wednesday on Troubled Minds, considering all the things. What are your thoughts? What do you think? I'd love to hear what you believe about this. If it's real, and that's okay. Again, you misunderstand me if you think that I'm trying to beat some narrative drum about convincing you it's real or not. Honestly, I don't care. Meaning that for you to believe what you believe is more important than me trying to sway your belief. That's all. That's what I mean. Not I don't care in that sense that like frivolously, meaning that I encourage you to think what you want to think. And that's okay. And that's why a conversation is a good thing, and why it can be a galvanizing thing, because it should bring people together, even people who disagree. And that's really, literally, if you boil down Troubled Minds to one thing, that's really what it's about. It's like, hey, look, we're all different. We get it, all right? But also, there's more things about us that are the same. And shouldn't we be celebrating those things instead of the other things? And that's it. It's simple. It's a simple premise. But I don't know. So what about this Aborigines put the curse on the Aussie PM? There was also the Donald Trump stuff. Remember the witchcraft? They were like trying to cast a curse on Donald. And so much negativity in the world. And not to say Donald Trump is absolved from that, by the way. But you get it, right? You get what I'm saying here. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on this? Do you think I'm off the rails, which is completely fine because I basically live off the rails? But I'd love to hear your thoughts. Is it possible, through the power of words and the power of suggestion, to cause people doom? All right? Doom. Maybe that's a good word. Maybe your early demise is probably like a bad way to put this. But how about cause somebody doom? I think it's possible. Do you think it's possible? Let's see. Let's make sure we're all good here on all the places. All the chat looks good. What's up to Greg? I see you over there. What's up, Laura Jean? I see you over on the French chat. Yeah, I don't know. So this is what I'm talking about. Matt says, Matt in California says, supposedly Bruce Lee died from an aspirin, right? Aspirin. Yeah, like. Right? So is that a curse? Is that a hit? Like, what is that? But then, right, so the bad luck with his son, Brandon Lee, is that like a generational type curse? You know, they say that, I've heard this, and, you know, clearly no corroboration, because how can you really prove this? But there's some speculation that they did put a curse on Bruce Lee because he was teaching, actually, you know, sort of Chinese secrets of their martial arts, and there was some sort of occult ritual or something that put the curse on him that ended in his demise. Okay, but if that's the case, look what happened to his son, Brandon Lee, as well, right? Again, is this a generational thing? Do you believe that words can be that powerful? And I think that's the question, right? Clearly, from me to you, or from you to me, or, you know, you yell at each other, and there's negativity, and like Jack said, the people wearing the masks and glaring at each other, and the people not wearing the masks and glaring at each other, right? Just the hate, it's there. But do you think, how deep does it go? Could it be an actual generational thing? And that's what's on my mind tonight. You tell me. You tell me. What's up, MJ? Or the Kennedys? Exactly. That's what I was saying. So, or the Kennedys. So, is there a curse? By the way, the Kennedys got their money from what? Bootlegging, right? Back in Prohibition, right? As far as I'm aware, that's how the Kennedys got their money. So it was ill-gotten gains, all right? And who knows what kind of dirty business happened for it was a crime family, right? Like an actual crime family. So I don't know. You tell me. Is this real or is this not? And again, and so, you know, there's the whole pareidolia thing, and they say it with, you know, the man on the moon or whatever, or the guy the face on Mars, whatever it is, right? They say that our brain tries to make these connections between things that may not be connected. I get that too. All right. And so that's the question. That's what's on my mind tonight. Do you think there is something to this? And if so, do you think that, how do we avoid it? I guess that's what I asked Robert as well. Like, once you get sort of the bone pointed at you, and you get the bad juju. What's up? I see a Wolf J over there on the French chat said no to the bad juju. I agree. So what happens, right? So if you get the bone pointed at you, what do you do? Do you broadcast from a circle of salt like I do? What do you do? Is there a way to cleanse this? Is there a way to actually pull yourself out of this deep suggestive thing that may bring about your own doom. And I say doom, and it could be bad luck. It could be, so we'll drop the dire bombastic terms of, your demise. Let's go to doom. That's a little less bombastic, wouldn't you say? But you get the point, right? Like, words are incredible. Words are amazing. And that's why I think it's basically a huge responsibility when we speak. When we speak, and intention matters. If you misspeak and you correct yourself and you apologize, right? I really didn't mean that. It came out the wrong way and sounded wrong. Like, again, is that cancelable? You know what I mean? Is that hate? You tell me. What are your thoughts? 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link. But there's all kinds of stuff here. We got this from Eskify.com as we wait for phone calls. That the phone's not ringing. The phone is not ringing. I find myself responsible because it's not a compelling conversation, I guess. But that's okay. I'm not going to guilt you into calling. I'll just go 10 real-life curses that came true. I'm sure you guys have heard of this stuff, right? You guys have heard of some of these curses. That's this. The Omen, right? While filming The Omen, one of the production crew suffered many of the production crew suffered untimely deaths and almost fatal close calls. One crew member canceled a flight at the last minute. The plane then crashed, killing everyone on board. 3 crew members in separate planes were all struck by lightning. The director's hotel was bombed by the IRA and was hit by a car. A crew member's son shot himself, and in 1976, on Friday the 1st, Richardson crashed his car in Holland. His assistant was sliced through the car's wheel. What in the world? More. The Curse of the Iceman. You guys heard of this one? Gotcha, Matt. I copy that. We'll get you in the third hour. The Iceman. Everybody remember this guy? The cursed mummy of a man from 3300 BCE was found by 2 German tourists. 7 people who died in mysterious circumstances are said to be victims of its curse. The mummy died a violent death in battle after being shot with an arrow and then having his head bashed in. One molecular archaeologist actually died while writing a book on the Iceman, and another man suddenly developed a hereditary disease. I'm not sure you suddenly develop hereditary diseases, but okay. And a mountaineer strangely fell off a cliff in a freak blizzard in the same spot he saw the mummy. 3 more people died, one from a heart attack, and one from multiple sclerosis, and one from a car crash. The last man to die was the one who filmed the body. He died of a brain tumor. So this is what I mean, right? And we've talked about this in the terms of, the curse of the mummy, right? King Tut. Everybody's familiar with this, the curse of the mummy. They go in there and they start excavating the treasures, right? The what did they say? Fabulous things, amazing things. What was the first quote when they saw the gold sparkling inside King Tut's tomb, right? But there was a whole bunch of shenanigans that happened as a result of this. And do you think this is a curse, right? Do you think that there's actually something to these things magic-wise or not? And that's the question here. The power of suggestion to me it's a thing. And whether it's magic or whether it's, just people talking to each other and kind of being downers on each other or whatever it happens to be, I don't know. Like, how do you quantify that? Is that magic? And we've had that discussion in the past, and I think it's worthy of kind of staying on the top of our heads in that it is our responsibility, even if we don't really realize that we wield magic in any particular way whatsoever. Don't you think that speaking words and, what would the immortal words of the Beatle, why not speak words of wisdom and let it be? You know what I'm saying? It's one of those things where it's, I don't know. That's why I do this. Literally, that's why I do this. And I promise you, nobody makes me do this. Nobody made me stream for an entire year with nobody listening. Nobody, right? I come back every single time swinging because I think it's important, and swinging to give you a hug. Everybody out there okay tonight? I hope everybody's doing well tonight. It's Happy Wednesday. It's Troubled Minds Wednesday. And just to give you an idea of what we're doing tomorrow night, because we do have a guest booked for tomorrow night, our good friend Axel is going to be on the show. And we're going to be talking about the Vril Society. So if you're into that, there's a particular book that he dove into, and he's excited to get some of this information out and talk about maybe the origins of the Vril Society and a bunch of that stuff. So if you're into that and love those types of conversations, then you're in the right place, and we'll be doing that tomorrow. So I see you there, Lily. I don't want to cut you off. Actually, let's go to Lily. Actually, let's do this. Let's go. Lily, if you can hear me, we got about 3 minutes. But here's what we'll do. If you're there, go ahead, and then we'll, if you got time, we'll put you on pause, end the radio show, and then continue with you. But if you're there, Lily from Australia, welcome to Troubled Minds. If you're there, I'm going to jump in that queue with you so we can fix this. All right, go ahead, Lily. Are you there? Test 1, 2. Welcome to Troubled Minds. You are on the radio. Test 1, 2. You are muted. Just unmute yourself on Discord there, and we should be good to go. If you can hear me. Test 1, 2. Lily, are you there?
Okay.
Welcome to Troubled Minds. What's
Sorry.
up? That's okay. I
Can
understand.
you hear me now?
Yeah, loud and clear. There's a delay. Completely not your fault. Here's what I was saying. We got a couple minutes, so give us your thought on this, and if you have time, I'll hold you over till after we get off the radio and continue the conversation, okay? Go right ahead.
My nieces believe they have a generational curse upon themselves. And I believe that believing in a curse, you just bring bad luck upon yourself.
Okay, so I agree with you in that if you believe it, you can make these things come true. So do you think it's possible?
Yeah.
Though, so pointing the bone at somebody, is it possible to actually do that to somebody else, though?
I believe so. I live in Australia and I've been around Aboriginals and they're really scary when, like, I've had one that used to take me out of my body, and I've been out of body with this one where I was put into someone else and lived their life for a short time, and I had to look in the mirror and see that it wasn't, I think I told you this story already, where it wasn't my eyes. Someone was saying, they're not my eyes, they're not my eyes. So I looked in the mirror and my eyeballs were popping out of my head, so I had to push them back in. And the next morning I woke up and I ended up meeting the girl for the first time that had the exact same eyes that I had in a dream, and the Aboriginal Uncle Joe, we knew him as, was standing right beside her, and it's like, did you give me that dream last night? Because every time he come over, I'll have some real trippy dream. So I do believe that they have a sort of a powerful magic, and it's some of it's very secret and not known about.
Gotcha. Okay, so this is a real thing. Lily, we're ending on the radio, so hang tight. I'm going to be right back with you, okay? We're going to continue this conversation. You're the best. Thanks for calling in.
Okay.
All right, don't go anywhere. Stay right there. I'll be right back to get
Very
you.
nervous.
Be right back. All right, that's Lily in Australia. Thank you so much for the phone call. Look, as we finish this, again, it doesn't matter what I think. It matters what you think. That's what this conversation is about. Don't be afraid to talk to people. Don't be Debbie Downers. Don't point the bone at people. Come on, that's my PSA for tonight. And again, you decide, right? Is magic real? Is magic not real? I don't have those answers, but I think it's worth talking about. And as we finish, if you're listening to us on the Fringe FM, stay tuned for Joe Roop Lighting the Void. If you're listening to us on any other platform, including the podcast feed, stay tuned for a third hour of Troubled Minds. And as we finish, it goes a little something like this. We'll be back tomorrow night with Axel Steele doing the Drill Society. Be sure, be strong, be true. Thank you for listening. From our Troubled Minds to yours, have a great night. Okay, we are off the Fringe. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go for a third hour of Troubled Minds. This is where we usually take a break, but I did cut Lily off, so let's not cut Lily off. Lily, welcome back to the show. Lily in Australia. And here's the thing, right? So you did tell me this story before, and you said you do live in Australia and you have some experience with Aboriginal magic, and you think it is powerful. So what does this entail? Meaning that is it possible to not just curse yourself through some sort of like bizarre thought, but is it also possible to curse somebody else, sort of through that pointing the bone ritual? Do you think that's a real thing?
Yeah, I believe it's a real thing.
Okay.
I believe it's a real thing because I believe in magic.
Okay. So then let me ask you this then. If it's a real thing and you can point the bone at somebody and cause them doom. Let's not say that the end is the demise, because I don't want to do that to people, but right, let's say you can cause doom or like ill fortune. Is there a way to get out of that? Let's say it happens to you, and I don't wish that on anybody, but how would you get out of that? Is there like a counter spell? Is it a power of positive thinking? Is it not belief in the doom itself? What is it? How do you think we climb out of that, if that's the thing?
Oh, I guess you do a reverse magic ritual, like a reverse spell ritual that I've seen. I watched one guy on. But he's taken all his videos down, so I used to watch him a lot. His name was Talisman McKnight, and he had a lot of information on voodoo magic and reversing spells and reversing curses, and I learned a lot from him. But I learned from my mother personally. My mum used to say to me, because like she would say to me, I'm dying really, and you're going to inherit all my gifts and all that stuff. I inherited the Caduceus, which is my profile picture. And that to me is very special. That actually really amplifies magic to me. If I wear it, I'm too super sensitive if I wear it. I took it to my sister's place, so I don't have it at my place anymore. But yes, my mum said to me that I would inherit all her gifts, and I did, but I don't practice enough to develop the skill. So I just live a normal life, really, but I love magic, and I know it's real. And I love listening to people's stories on their experiences with their own paranormal experiences, so...
Yeah, and it seems to be...
I believe it. I when I was 14 years old and I was having a fight with my neighbour, I just stared her out, and I just really wanted her to hurt herself. She was shoveling in the yard, and I was staring her out, and I was really, really focused on what I wanted to do. Like I wanted her to hit her foot with the shovel and really hurt herself, and she did, actually, because she came over to me after we made up and said, what were you doing the other day? You were really staring at me and all that stuff. And I said, I wanted you to hurt yourself, and she did. And it's sort of like, I reckon it's the power of your mind, really. If you really focus and really your concentration on something, it can manifest.
So it can happen.
And but it's really black magic, using magic against someone's will.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's kind of my point here. So if that's the case, right? If you can do these things, then they've got to be able to be undone, right? Is there a way? Is there like maybe a particular thing you can do to protect yourself from this? Because I agree with you.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so like an easy thing. Can you help us with an easy thing? Like I've heard some people say,
I use mirrors. I use a lot of mirrors. I got a lot of mirrors in my house, so I use a lot of reflection.
Okay, so mirrors do what regarding this stuff?
Oh, I just reverse it back, like using my mirrors. And also I have the blue eyes as well. My eyes are like the evil eye, so I just give them back the evil eye.
Nice. Kick it back. Hey, look, sometimes you gotta
give them back the evil eye.
Sometimes you got to kick it back.
You don't care.
I like that. Okay, so a mirror can reflect that bad juju, right? So it can actually send it back on the attacker.
I use mirrors. Other people may use different methods, but that's my personal use. I've used a few mirrors, and a few mirrors have smashed because of them. Like, I had a really horrible next door neighbor, and I took my mirrors out into the carport. I wanted her to see her own negative reflection, and then next morning I woke up and my mirror was smashed. So it works. To me, it works. And one time I had a flatmate that lived with me, and she kept on telling me white lies. So I put a mirror at the entrance of my door, and I have a room downstairs, so she come upstairs, and she could not enter past that door because I had that mirror there. And it was like I put that mirror there to keep. It's like I put my intent into the mirror, like I want to keep bad intention out of my house, or people that are not honest with me out of my house, and things like that. So it's like a force field. And I don't know how it works, but I know I put my intention into it, and then it works through my intention. Okay. And I also have a mirror that I have that's in my lounge room, which is, it's got crystals and shells and all lots of little things glued around it, and I have my scepter next to it. So it's my altar. So I keep my altar at the entrance of my house. And so I like to have like feng shui energy, you know, and because you get into the feng shui energy of your house, you can feel the changes that come into your house through the different energy through your house. And then it's like I've had many people live with me, and it's like it's so hard for me to live with people because it's almost like they can't pull the wool over my eyes, and it's like I intuitively pick up things, and if I start feeling irritated or something like that, it's something not right in my house, and I've got to figure out what it is. And it's always something that's gone wrong with my flatmates and things like that, because they take advantage of you and things, and they look a gift horse in the mouth. That's what I say.
That's a good
I'm rambling too much.
I got you.
I don't want to ramble, and you're a radio show to host.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
You probably got other people.
I ramble constantly. What are you talking about? When night,
You're just letting me ramble now.
You're good. You're good. They're not rambling. When Night Stalker calls, he goes, "I'm rambling. Save me." So you got me. You're in good company.
Yeah,
okay.
Save me, Night Stalker.
Okay, I got you. So here's the thing, right? So you're saying there, like an altar near the doorway of sorts is sort of like a cleansing thing. So if you have maybe dark energy come inside, it kind of nullifies it and it keeps you safe, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I can sense it. It's like I know what their intents are. Like it's almost like an intuitive feeling, like because I'm feeling, it's like an empathic feeling that I'm feeling, and it's not me that feel like it's like it's not me, and I gotta know it's not me, that the feeling that I'm getting. Because you've got to be very much know who you are in yourself. And then you start feeling all these feelings, and those feelings are coming from outside of you. And sometimes you can get mixed up and think those feelings. I used to hate being around people, and I start mimicking them.
Right?
Because I start, I don't know, it's almost like I almost start mimicking them, and I start becoming them, and I start knowing them. It's sort of like one time I was at a job center meeting where we all have a group, and I have to go and see a job provider, and we're all in the group. And the lady asked, "What do you feel from the person next to you? What's the first thing that comes to your mind?" And I said, "Bubbles." And she laughed and she said, "My boyfriend calls me Bubbles."
Bubbles.
So it's things like that I can't explain. So it's like it's a feeling you get, and it's how you interpret that feeling. from your own experiences that you've had.
Okay. I like it. I got another question for you here. So regarding those generational curses we were talking about, like we talked about maybe Bruce Lee and Brandon Lee, what about the Kennedys and things like this? Do you think that's a thing? So I do know that the power of suggestion is for real, 100%, whether you want to call it just magic or the power of the human mind and communication and words and the rest of that, whatever, like that's semantics to me. It's definitely real, whatever you want to call it. But what about a generational curse? Do you think that's possible, or do you think that's just us kind of looking at a run of bad luck in a particular family and trying to attribute it to something supernatural? What do you think about that?
My nieces think they got a curse on them, a generational curse, and I'm saying you only got a curse on you if you allow it to be a curse in your life. But yeah, I reckon you can get out of those things. And if you believe in something, you know how if you believe in something for long enough and you always get affirmed by it. So you get the biased affirmations all the time. And then you start believing it, and then you bring it upon yourself. So you basically, what's it called? Self-proclaimed prophecy. Is that what you call it?
Self-fulfilling prophecy. Yep, the Oedipus complex. That's exactly what it is.
Self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah, and like I said, this has been talked about, like Oedipus is an ancient story. That's self-fulfilling prophecy. They talked about it with the fates, with like the Oracle at Delphi, things like this, right? Where there's lots of stories where people come in there to get their future told, and then it's told to them, and they do everything they possibly can to avoid it. But in doing so, by trying to avoid it, they actually make it come to pass. So what do you think that is? Do you believe in fate, or do you believe that the power of suggestion is so strong and so difficult to shake that once you put the seed in somebody's brain that they're going to make it happen no matter what? What's your thought there?
It builds more on the insecurities. There's a lot of people go to readers because they have to have their insecurities. They want to know about a job, relationship, or what's going to happen in their life. So there's an insecurity there in their life that they're not really in control of their life. They need to know what's happening in their life all the time. And to tell someone what's going to happen will just add to it, add to the more insecurities. Because then you want to get all these different readings done to get a good reading if you're getting a negative reading, because you don't want to accept that you're getting something read to you that it's negative. So you go to see another psychic, and then you go see another psychic. A friend of mine was like that. And it's like, can't you accept that, this is what you're being told and you can change it because it hasn't happened yet?
Exactly. It hasn't happened yet. So exactly. So as always, it comes down to what you believe, right? Do you believe you're in control of your own destiny, or do you believe that destiny is there and you have to go get it no matter what? What do you believe regarding that?
Oh, I believe you have control of it to some extent, because you can't control other people's lives. And if you're trying to control someone else's life to suit your life, it never works, really, because you just really need to control your own life, is where you're going and what you're doing. And everyone else that comes into your life is a part of your karmic will, but you're not driving their car, and they're not driving your car, and you're not a backseat driver to their destiny, and they're not backseat driving to what you're doing and all that. And if you like, I love listening to your show because it's like your the information helps someone else. So you're helping people grow more so with whatever. Like, I've grown a lot by listening to a lot of the conversations that you're had with other people on your show. But I'm not living their life, but the information they give can be useful in my life. If I end up having to come to a point in my life that it may be needed.
Right.
Is that is that making sense?
No, it makes perfect sense, and thank you for the kind words. Because again, like I said, that's the whole point of this. It's like, again, we're different, right? You live in Australia, I live in the United States, right? We're just not the same. But there's so much of us that's the same anyway that we like. I think we have a lot of common threads.
Oh yeah,
There's so much.
All your
common
American politics and propaganda goes over my head.
That's okay.
If I'm in your chat and listening to you talk, all of that stuff's going over my head because I know nothing about it.
That's okay. I
know
barely.
about it.
I know enough to hate it. That's all I know. I don't like the propaganda.
I'll be interested to listen to Axel tomorrow because I know nothing about the Quill Society either.
Yeah, so we'll be doing that tomorrow, and that's definitely good stuff. APOC in the chat says, Lily, you're doing great, and I agree 100%. Thanks. I know we've talked in the after shows. So it's a pleasure to have you on.
So many people to say hello to.
Sorry, what was that?
I feel like there's so many people to say hello to. I feel sort of like I don't want to. Oh, been here for a while now. I don't want to sit here and say hello, everyone.
You're good.
Yeah,
you're good. You're totally fine. You're totally fine. So thank you so much for popping in here and saying hi, and thanks for giving us your thoughts on this. Again, and this is what I'm talking about. Pointing the bone is Aboriginal magic, they say, right? You live in Australia, you're familiar with it. You're like, hey, I know something about this, and that's why we do it like this. Talk to people all over the world, all walks of life, all different ages, all different belief systems. I don't care. That stuff to me, it's important, but it's more important that we're humans and we're humans together. And you're the best. I appreciate the phone call, Lily, and we're going to take a quick break.
I'm sorry, I was so nervous.
No, you're good. You're totally good. You're absolutely good. But here's the best part, right? And I said this during the Anne Rice episode. The first vampire you make is the most important one, because without the first vampire you make, there's not the second, the third, and the fourth. And tonight you made your first vampire. Thanks for calling into the show. You're the best, Lily. You're the best. We'll talk to you soon, and we'll catch you in the chat. I love to read your chat as well. So we'll catch you then. We're going to take a quick break, and thank you very much. Thank you very much. I'm going to pop out of here.
Okay.
We're going to keep on doing our thing.
Bye.
Thanks, Lily. Have a great night. Have a great day. Great day down under. Down under. There you go. If you want to be part of the show, 702-957-1037. That's Lily, longtime friend of the show. She's always in the chat, very enthusiastic about the conversations. And this is exactly the point. Again, exactly the point, right? Like her and I are very different. But again, it doesn't matter. We're more the same than we are different, and that's what this is all about. So great stuff, Lily. Thank you so much for the phone call. Thanks for the amazing thoughts. Let's do it. We're going to take a quick break, and we're still taking your phone calls. In the end, what do you believe? Do you actually believe that it's possible to curse people? Do you believe that words are magic? Do you believe that a generational curse exists? And all the rest of this. What about this pointing the bone thing? Do you, as Rohan says, do your own magic, or do you allow other people to do your magic for you? And that's what we're talking about tonight. So if you want to be part of the show, we're still going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back doing more Troubled Minds. You can reach the show and me and whoever else might be listening at 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. There is the phone number right there on the stream. You can also find it at troubledminds.org. Click the Discord link. Got a phone call coming in, but looking to hear from you as well. If you haven't called in, tonight might be your first night. Actually, I've talked to Lily before in the after chat, but this is the first time she's called into the show. So thank you very much for the phone call, Lily, and everybody else. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a quick 2-minute break, and we'll be right back. More Troubled Minds on the way, and we got Jack in Oregon. We'll go to him in just a sec, and also we're going to go to you. Tonight is your night. 702-957-1037. Let's click the thing, which is this, and this is Mike. Give us some music. Be right back. More Troubled Minds on the way. Don't go anywhere. 2-minute break. Be right back. All right, welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and we are doing our thing. We're hanging out. This is the third hour. This is where we kind of let our hair down a little bit and just hang out, kick it with the chat, read some of the chat, and don't have the radio perfection to try and have all the time frames and all the things. We can make our own breaks and do our own time and all the rest of that. So quick shout out to Lily again. Thank you so much for the phone call. We have spoken out in the after chat, much like APOC, hello out there, have spoken, and her and I have spoken in the after chat, and one of these days she will call in as well, and I will be nice to her as well. And so that's the point, right? That's the point. Is it's, again, you got to understand, right? And I know many of you understand this, probably all of you understand this. If you're listening to me, you're probably not listening to Don Lemon or Sean Hannity. No offense to those guys. Sorry, I take that back. Yes, offense to those guys. Propagandist dogs, right? That's just the way it is, right? If they're going to lie and tell you answers that aren't true answers, well, that's probably why you're here, right? One of the reasons why you are actually here is that it's too much of that hate and division. God, again, you get that just rolling out of bed. Just rolling out of bed, like you know, some days you ain't feeling it. You know what I mean? Like, as a natural state. So why on God's green earth do we got to just create more negative drama? I just hate it. I hate it so much. All right, so we're still talking about this. Do you believe it's possible to curse people through words, through some sort of magic spells or ritual? And again, as part of that, of course, as being a positive guy, because I really am. Is there a way out of it? Let's say you are cursed. Let's say I doom said, Michael Strange said doom be upon you. Of course, this is parody and I'm not really saying that, but let's say I did. How do you get yourself out of that, right? How do you take that seed of doom out of your mind? That's also what's on my mind tonight as we begin this. We got Kelly we're going to go to in just a sec. We got Jack's been waiting for a little bit longer. Let's go to Jack in Oregon. Welcome back to Troubled Minds, my friend. Go right ahead.
Hello again.
Hello, sir. Good evening.
Well, I'd like to introduce my theory. It's the theory of the boxes.
Okay, I like it. I already like it.
What got me thinking about it was Elon Musk talking about, well, if you consider any amount of improvement that happens, then of course we're in a simulation kind of thing. But I took it a little bit different way, and it was just like, well, limitations define where you're at, kind of deal.
Okay, I like where you're headed. I see where you're headed. And so, if limitations define where you're at, what does that mean for the next step?
Well, it means you know where the edge of the goldfish bowl is, right?
Exactly.
So then you just kind of move around, figure out what you're able to do, what you're not able to do, and then you know what you're able to do, basically.
Right. And I do like the fishbowl analogy there, because we talked about in the crazy octopus episode where we talked about the time traveling octopus from the future and that the cosmic consciousness, that the octopi is actually an extremely intelligent species, and they've been known to climb out of their tanks, right, and go into other tanks in aquariums, grab a fish and bring it back to their tank for company, not to eat it, for company. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some wild stuff.
I've seen that on YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah, incredible.
It's a real thing. So,
but you know what the tragic part of where the box begins is that the octopus just has a really limited life. Octopus doesn't live more than like 2 years, and they're totally driven by sexual desire their entire lifetimes. Like, I wanted to buy and own an octopus, and it's just like a big pain in the butt because they make a big mess and they don't live very long.
And apparently they're smart as hell because again, some have been known to be squirting water at people.
Which is why you'd want to get one and own one. And I still want to get one and own one, but it's expensive and difficult.
Yeah, but still, so back to the analogy of the box, right, and the edge of the fishbowl. So what does it mean then? So if we know where the edge of the fishbowl is, how does that help us?
It just tells you where to stop, where you can't go. For sure.
Or where we have
on.
stopped, where history has stopped, right? Just because somebody else stopped there doesn't mean we have to, do we? We can climb out of this bowl. We can stare the sun in the eyes and beat our chest and howl at the moon or whatever we want to do, right? We can do those things. We didn't get here as a human race by being timid, right? We got here by challenging those notions, by challenging that edge of the fishbowl, didn't we?
Right. My only thing is that I'm saying is that, like, a stupendously amazing animal like the octopus that can mimic other creatures and stuff in the wild and that kind of thing, that can devise escapes out of a container, still has its own like limitations. And if like a genetic engineer went and made an octopus that could live like way longer and walk around on dry land, it'd be up for us. It'd be up for all of us.
Or what if we're it? What if we are it? What if that is us? What if we just lost 6 arms and that is us?
Well, look, when you come to art and like the expression of art,
right,
man, more expression the better, right?
Yeah, exactly. I agree. And so, and when we're talking octopi, the more arms, the better, for sure, right?
They have to play drums. So,
yeah, there you go. Nice. Let me ask you this, and don't make it dark. What would you give up for an extra arm?
My nose, probably.
All right, perfect. You're the best, bro. I appreciate the phone call. What else you got before we let you go? We got Kelly on behind you, but I'm not trying to... you tell me.
Let's hear Rohan call in. Come on, Rohan, call in, brother.
There you go. Rohan, we got a request. We got a Rohan, the mighty Rohan request, the famous Liam Martin. We got a request from our good friend Jack in Oregon. And you think we're not talking about to people all over the damn world? Jack is in Oregon. The mighty Rohan's in the United Kingdom, and we got a request. Jack, you're the best. I appreciate the phone call. We'll see if we can get Rohan on for you, okay?
No, y'all.
Thanks a lot, brother. Take care. Thanks for calling in. Thanks for listening. Thanks for being part of this. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. Last night I was trying to make Kelly eat the pig heart. Today I'm asking Jack what he'll give up for an extra arm. Shit just gets weird. Speaking of Kelly, what's up, Kelly? Welcome. Kelly in Colorado, welcome to Troubled Minds. How are you, my friend? Geez. Test 1, 2. He's there. I know he's there. He even unmuted when I said that. His timing's impeccable, but the audio, maybe he's muted.
Can you hear me?
There we go. What's up, Kelly? How are you?
Oh, good. I guess I have to move in that position here.
Yeah. The old, get as close to the mic as you can. Put it. Touch that sucker on your lips. How are you, brother? How you doing tonight?
I'm good. This is a pretty good one tonight.
Thank you. What is your thought here? I know we agree on the power of words and suggestion in that, but how deep do you think it goes? Is it a situation where you have actual magic happening? And again, so we'll start there, and then we'll get to generational curses and magic after that. What do you think? Do you think it's a real thing, or do you think it's more of a power of suggestion in our own mind?
Real, because it's both that power of suggestion in your own mind, which makes you, someone's using magic against you can actually make you, it's just like you were saying, the power of suggestion. So if someone's always constantly, kind of like what they do with the news, they constantly repeat it, and then next thing you know, you're thinking about it, and then your manifestation of that is, is coming out as well. So it's a power of suggestion by pushing those buttons. But yeah, magic is real. I mean, I believe magic is real. From all the stuff that I've read and, some of the stuff I came across. That's one thing that I'm actually trying to delve into is a little bit more of that. But with that, you have to, it's, just like everybody's saying, like you were saying too, words, magic are words and words are spells, right? So when you talk about people, when they say they can look into your future or see your future, what they're doing, I mean, yes, there somewhat are able to do it, and there is some people that out there that are bullshitters, but the real ones, they are be able to see that. What they're feeding off of or reading off of you is your aura or your energy, and because that's what you're bringing inside there, that's what they're reading off of. But what they're reading, for me, what I believe is that they're reading what your path is now. That doesn't mean you can't change your own future. But you have to, it's not like you don't dwell on it. Because if you do dwell on it, you can manifest that into reality. And that's what the people would call magic or whatnot. But yes, if if they're reading your path that you're on, you can change your path at any time you want. That's up to you. But if you stay on that path, that's what they're going to tell you what's going to happen. That's all they're reading at that time of your aura at what's going on with you at that time.
Okay, and so again, right? So the power of suggestion. How do you shake it? Like I'm with you that you control your own destiny. Because look, hey, if you tell me I don't, I'm gonna be upset, right? Like not upset, like contentious, like you and I have a problem, but no. Oh yeah, watch this, right? Like whatever you think that is in store for me, watch me prove you wrong, right? That's kind of been me forever. It's just been like, oh yeah, you can't hold my beer, watch this shit, right? That's been me, and so it's like Jack was saying, I like the edge of the fishbowl. I love that analogy because. Watch me climb out of this sucker. Hold my octopus beer. Watch me. I'm going to climb over to the fridge and get myself another right out of the damn fish tank. You know what I'm saying? I'm with you, bro. I think we control our own destiny. But so what if you do get cursed? Actually, like magically cursed. Do you believe there's a way out of that? Is there a way to uncurse yourself?
Yes, I mean, okay, so like what you're doing too. What you're doing, right? You're saying that you're like watch me. You're going against that, that station or that little position they want to put you in, right? You're saying no, I'm not going to happen. So what you're doing is you're actually doing magic yourself too. You're doing like a talisman. You're protecting yourself from that shit. You're going to be you can move beyond that. That's what you're doing. So and that's the power of suggestion and stuff too. But this, the thing about some of this stuff too is I'll go back in some of the ancient times, like in Buddhism they do it with meditation, right? Words, they're always talking about they have like in unison you have how many monks out there you can know, right? It's all frequency and it's all with words, like it's saying, like again it's spelling, right? So, and then you have the thing that's found in, Egypt and the Nag Hammadi Library, which was the Gospel of Thomas. And in there they speak about stuff like that. That was, they say that wasn't a canon that wasn't put in the Bible. But, in there they were talking about, if you tell the mountain to move, the mountain will move, So it's very powerful, You just got to know and believe it like it's already been there, When you're talking about something like this, it's, you have to do major concentration, with your own mind and stuff like that. But it's not something that you're going to be able to do automatically. We've been programmed and, rewired, since the time you're born, to have it on another path. But if you can, if we look at even ancient buildings and shit too, you look at those old, and they made it all acoustic, right? And if you go in there, some people say you go in there, and if you was to like even doing a meditation, whatever they're using in there, they're enhancing that, So, and why would they build anything else in an acoustic, environment, all the way down into like India too, with like those pillars that they have, the singing pillars, where these whole things they're making a whole like these buildings out of a mountain, right? but they're adding all this acoustic mathematics into these buildings. There's got to be a reason for these things, because as power suggestions, like, you know, there was a monk that went into like a Tibetan, you know, and they were watching Tibetans, you know, move these boulders, you know, like with levitation, but they were using, you know, like trumpets with their Om, and they said also with these drum beats, you know, they were using that. But to become like a true wizard or a witch, you know, using magic, you know, you have to, you know, from when I started, you know, doing the stuff that I'm starting to researching and stuff, you have to be actually getting into a lot of astrology, because, you know, that's the most powerful times of like when planets or moons and stuff like that are aligned, that type thing. That's why you even have that in like the government. You know, they do all that type stuff. If it wasn't real, they wouldn't be doing this shit themselves anyway. So you also have to be an herbalist and knowledge of animals, like that. You know, the guy using those things, type of, you know, animals as talismans, you know, like weapons of, like, you know, for casting spells and stuff, like that lady that was in Australia. Also in the past, you know, you'll find, like, you know, for example, in the Christian Bible, they talk about witches and wizards. You know, in Deuteronomy 18:10 through 12, they talk about witches, and these other books, they talk about wizards, which is, you know, Leviticus 19 through 31, and you also find it in 20 through 6, 2 Kings 21:6 and 23 1 through 24, 1 Samuel 28:3 through 29:9, Isaiah, you'll find it there. They talk about wizards as well, and that's in 8 through 19, and 2 Chronicles is in 33:6, and all those are talking about wizards and stuff. So this stuff has been around, and it is powerful. I mean, there's, you know, that's not the only ones. You'll even go back further with even in the, you know, the Sumerian, you know, tablets and stuff like that. They talk about, you know, they're, you know, being cast spells and stuff, and they need to find somebody. You know, most of the ones that were like back then were females, and they called it Sakor. They had the knowledge of Sakor, which is actually kind of, I would say, you know, the suggestion of reading those books would be like, you know, some kind of a magic spell or knowledge of spells. And it's pretty interesting because, you know, that's, you know, if you go throughout all of ancient, you know, times, you'll see that, you know, somebody's got like a witch doctor or somebody that knows kind of a magic, or, you know, into those deep meditations, you know, and they, you know, they get that knowledge of all that.
Yeah, and again, this is like, this type of thing is such an ancient idea that there's got to be something to it, right? And that's why I won't give up on these ideas as being actually magic. You know what I mean? Like, you know me, for the most part, I'm trying to keep a foot on the ground type of thing. I'm not trying to, you know, cast some spells over the populace or anything, but I do see that there is some sort of, you know, word magic. There are some things that have been talked about for a while. Like you said, some of that, like I was saying previously, the what's the Oracle at Delphi? We got again the Oedipus stuff. Like there's a lot of this where it's kind of, you know, humans sort of facing our fate versus making our fate. And I think, I don't know, I think this is a good conversation anyway. That's for damn sure. Have you ever had anything where you thought maybe you had a curse thrown at you in any capacity? And if so, how did you get out of it?
Yeah, personally, I thought, because there was a time frame within my life where, I don't know, man, it was something, I felt something that was just, you know, like lurking in the background, you know, per se. Like, it was just something, everything I did, it was just like, I don't know, it would just fall apart. You know, it would just literally, like, if I was holding like I would say, like a toy that was made out of metal, right? And I'm holding it in my hand, and the thing would just, like, for me, it would seem like it would blow away in the wind. You know, that's how fast it would crumble. But So I did, I kind of like, I didn't know, man. So there's a lot of things I changed in my life. It wasn't like, I never was a religious person, so I never turned to like prayer or anything like that. But I turned to other stuff because I know that there was other stuff that could be, mounting in the background because it wasn't me. I felt it wasn't me. That was something else. It's something that is, where it's in us as a human, as an animal of this planet. You could tell because like everything. Just like when people say you're walking through the crowd, you're doing energy exchanges. You're feeling people's auras. You can, like energy vampires. All that shit is real. I mean, it's not even like through science, they're trying to, look through that, and they're finding out that this shit is real too. There's nothing that's, like I said, underneath the sun is nothing. But through the ancient times, these people are talking about, and there's some, but for me, I believe that someone taught them this, and they're not from here. They're not. That's where you would get some of this stuff. But to teach them about our own planet, and all the species and all the birds and, the roots, most of the most powerful things, like ayahuasca is a root or, a bark or, and sometimes a little bit of the leaves. But most of that shit, man, is, it's powerful. If you're using it right and correctly, like I said, the true magicians, people that say that, tried to do it, they were trying to do a spell against, Trump and all that shit. I've seen them, those idiots that were sitting on the ground screaming, that it's going to give some kind of a fluctuation because, you're speaking those words, and with them, they were yelling it in, such, painful ways, but you got to know how to use it right, when to use it and how to use it. It's not just, people think that it's just, you're going to, go out there and just, start doing stuff. Yes, you might, might cause a ripple effect in somewhat, but if you're using it wrong, like someone else was talking earlier, you're just going to harm yourself because you don't know what the hell you're doing.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense to me. I do find that funny that it's not just cursing politicians and election cycles and shit like this. It's about it's kind of about yourself, isn't it? Like what do they say about? And I know you've probably heard this saying. Again, I'm not an expert, me, but I have heard that if you send out some sort of like black magic, like Lily was saying, like magic against people's will, that it comes back threefold, right? Or tenfold even, as Shadows of the Moon said in the chat there. Have you heard something like that, where like doing some like negative magic, at some point it does come back to yourself? Have you heard something like that?
Yeah, and sometimes those things are what they call, you have to pay a toll. You're paying something for it. You're not everything that you're going to ask for is just going to come for free. There's an exchange there that you have to do. And sometimes, it might give you what you need at the time or what you want or your desire. But sometimes, like I said, you have to learn. That's what I'm learning. It was because I thought I would just, hey, I'm going to jump into magic and read some books, trying to learn how to, you can, do all kinds of stuff. And, but when I first bought my first book and started looking into it and reading it, man, you have to do, it's a whole lot of stuff, man. Like astrology is the main one, right? Because they were telling you, like for example, the moon was in the left horizon at certain degrees, right? And at the time, it's some, like, Mars was in my, in my horizon, or, and Jupiter was exiting out, in these certain window frames. And, sometimes what you want to do, you have to put everything into it. But if the most dangerous ones too is like if they say, some of the stuff I ran across too, if you can find something that's personal of the person, but that the black magic, that's the whole thing. That's where we get the problem through history, and that's the thing too, like some of the other magic books, that like, you're trying, people that are trying to take some of that stuff and like, gain power, right? More power, or stuff that they think that control, and they have no idea what they're even, because magic is something that's beyond even technology or anything else. I mean, even technology is nothing compared to what you could probably do with magic, So, I don't know, man. If you're putting that much power into something, if anything can happen. I'm telling you that.
Gotcha, and I'm with you there. I agree that again, back to the power of the human mind and all the rest of that, intentions, and it's amazing shit. And again, right, it certainly makes for a fantastic conversation. That's why we do this. You've been around almost as long as Troubled Minds, and well, clearly, obviously before that. But I mean, for Troubled Minds, man, you're OG, brother. You're OG. You're the first call, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. You guys were surprised I even showed up, and they were like, "Oh man, call back again." I was like, "Yeah, I was listening."
Yeah, we were like, "Oh shit, somebody's listening," and somebody, yeah, oh shit, yeah, good shit, good stuff, man. You were the best, Kelly. I got Matt behind you, so as always, I'm gonna leave it up to you. If you want to hang out, you're welcome to. You tell me, or if you got more thoughts, go right ahead.
No, man, I'll just going down and mute and kick back and see what he's got to say.
Okay, and if you're welcome, just pop back in if you need to. It looks like we're trying to get APOC in here. APOC, just to open the live show, so it's nested. So just click the live show thing. It'll pop it down, and you'll see the caller queue there. So appreciate that, Kelly. Great stuff as always. And we're still talking about curses. Look, this is an article from Nautilus, Nautil.us. It says science is proving that tragic curses are real. Epigenetics and behaviorism suggest the ancient Greeks were right. Uh-oh. Were the ancient Greeks right? You tell me. 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link, troubleminds.org. Let's go to Matt in California. What's up, my man? California love. How you doing, brother?
Hey, Mike. Great show tonight.
Thank you. Appreciate that. What do you think? What's your take on this? What do you think about magic and intention and pointing the bone? And is there a way out of this? Give us the Matt take.
Well, before I talk about divination and things. Before I talk about that, I wanted to talk about the original article about being able to scan your eye and see how long you have to live.
Okay.
Was that the original article? And even if that technology existed, I wouldn't want to do it because I don't want to know when or how I'm going to die. Because then, I always say that if you knew that, you wouldn't live your life. You would be constantly afraid of that time. But it's like with divination, if I say, not you, say I look at a crystal ball and somebody's, is going to die in a car accident. Then you would, not get in your car ever, not drive ever again. But you could still get into a car accident walking down the street. You see, so
yeah, exactly.
It's all yeah. There's all the different ways. So before I start talking about like divination and talking about all the things, because I'm into this stuff. And I'm just a regular guy. I just study it. I'm not trying to make money or trying to get famous or anything off of this. But I just want to let you know, like, with the tarot readings and everything, astrology, I Ching, tea leaf reading, scrying. There's so many different divinations, palm reading, all of them. I'm studying it and learning it for myself. But I don't go around like, hey, do you want a tarot reading? I say like, okay, I do mess with it, but then if you want a tarot reading, you have to ask me. I don't go around like advertising it, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. And so okay. So if you do that, though, do you think there's like a nefarious intention to sort of take the whatever it happens to be, like fortune telling, and turn it into like a profession? Do you think there's a negative connotation to that, or are you saying you just wouldn't do that because that's just not you?
Yeah, that's just not me. Like I said, I'm just a regular guy. I'm not trying to make money off of it. I'm just, what I'm doing is for myself when it comes to, for example, tarot reading. I'm asking a question the thing about divination is it's called divination, divining. You're talking to a higher, whatever you believe in, consciousness or a higher being. And the thing about most people, they ask the questions. They want to know the questions, right? Am I going to fall in love? Am I going to get the job? Blah, blah, blah. The questions. But the thing with divine is, when you ask the questions, you have to learn to sit back and listen to whatever it is you're using, the cards or whatever. And so when I use them for myself, I see all the possibilities in front of me, and I recognize them. And then, but in the end, it's up to me to decide which path to choose or how, I'm going to go about it. And same thing with you. If you get a tarot reading or a palm reading from somebody and they say, oh, this is going to happen or that's going to happen. No, it's up to you. You are the person that has, your willpower can decide if it's yes or no. You have that decision at the end. It's not me reading the cards or the person reading your palm. It's you. You make that decision at the end.
Yeah. So what we're saying is that there is some sort of like Rohan teases me. He's like, oh, I get it. Mike just likes to do his own magic, but so there is a counter magic in the sense that in the end, it's up to you. It's in your lap, no matter what, right? Like you could have all the bones pointed at you in the damn world, but if you're strong enough and you're committed enough and you're like, fuck that, I'm going to just do what I do and I'm going to be positive and I'm going to live the longest, best life I can, all those bones pointing at you don't matter. Am I right?
Exactly. It is, you control it. So that's kind of what we're talking about, pointing the bone, or when people flip over the cards and they're like, this is going to happen. It's like, no, I would never say like, this is going to happen. I'm not, so this is a possibility. This is what the cards are telling me. But also too, with tarot cards and stuff, when I read it for somebody else, I'm reading it when I read the card, I pull out the cards, like I'm not reading them for myself. I'm telling you what the cards mean. And it's your reading. You are the one that should be able to look at the card and see, okay, this is what I see. Because I have no idea what's going on in your life. All the things that are going on in your life, I have no idea. I'm just pulling out the cards and telling you what the cards mean. But the symbols and things on the cards, they mean different to you than what they mean to me.
Yeah, so again...
yeah, it's just like, good.
So once again, like if we're having a conversation, right, and like we're think about it this way, like let's say you and I we work together, we go to the bar after work and we're like down, right, we're like, oh, this sucks, and we're drinking bourbon and we're like bitching and moaning, right? It's like that misery loves company sort of thing, but it's also like you're not kind of prepping yourself for the next day. Like I get the decompression and the rest of that and coping mechanisms and all those things, but at some point, right, you're kind of right, like setting tomorrow up to suck also, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And that's we could change it to what you're saying, like curse word, like words or spells. So like curse words, if you're angry at someone, you're cursing at them, you're cursing them, you're putting them down. And so same thing with, with the words, what we say to other people is important. And I liked where you're going with that we should, instead of hating on people, we should be speaking up on each other, talking, praising each other, not putting each other down. Because that's, again, raising the vibration. But one of the important things about this that I wanted to talk about that I think is important we talk about is when you... what you say to other people, but also what you say to yourself, your self-speak. In your head, when you talk, you need to, you notice it. If you start to talk down on yourself or start to think negatively about yourself, it pulls you down. But we need to talk positive about ourselves and say good things about ourselves to bring ourselves up. It's not all about what we say to other people. It's about what we say to ourselves. Yeah, exactly. No, I agree with you 100%. And so I worked for this guy semi-recently, right? And I kept saying, I'm like, look, bro, let's be real. I'm your best dude, right? I'm your best dude. And he's all, why do you keep saying that?
And I'm like, you know why? Because if I don't, nobody will. That's why. And it's a reality, right? Like, I know I work hard and I take it seriously and I want to do a good job, right? And you can't say that about everybody. And it's unfortunate, but it's true. And I'm just like, that's why I say it. Because if I don't say it, nobody's going to fucking say it for me, right? So I want you to know that I'm your best dude, because I am, right? And so, he's irritated that I kept bringing it up. But I'm like, no. Like, you ain't going to say it because you're going to try and downplay me, right? You're going to try and manipulate me. I don't play that. Right? Like, I am what I am. I do what I do, and it's obvious to everybody. So don't try and downplay me, right? With, again, some sort of magic bullshit trick. I say it because nobody will say it. And God damn it, Matt, we are the best, aren't we? We are the best.
Yeah, it's like I said, you just gotta talk positive. Like you said, you were saying earlier, you wake up, it's fear, it's distractions, it's all the bad things. If that's what you're hearing all the time, that's how you're going to live your life. But we need to talk positive about each other. We need to bring each other up, say the good things about each other. That's where I was going with that. Yeah,
and that was my point. So it's like if you don't believe in yourself, my point was, who will, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's the entire thing. If your premise is you don't believe in yourself, how are you expecting other people to, right? That's the craziest part. Hey, Kelly, we're going to bump down to the caller queue here to get APOC in. So just so you know, I'm shuffling things around, and there you go. All right, so there we go. All right, so everything should be fine. APOC should be in. So that's the point, right? So is that magic then, Matt? I guess that's the final question here. Is this actually magic, or do you think this is just suggestion and the power of the human mind, right? Is that the thing? That's the thing. Kelly just bumping us down the queue. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I believe in magic. How, we create our own reality and all that. I believe in all of that. But again, that's my opinion. Believe what you want to believe. Science, magic, whatever you want to call it. That's my beliefs. And that's like I said, I'm just a regular guy trying to help people. I just want to, and the most thing about this kind of topic when I talk about it is I'm mostly trying to educate people as much as I can. I'm usually joking around about things, but I'm trying to just throw things out there that I know, like I'm using my knowledge in my head to push out there to other people to make them kind of look or see. And that's one of the big, my main, my motto is, don't fear what you don't understand. And I think with a lot of this stuff, with tarot cards and, especially Ouija boards is the one, all the different ones, a lot of people, they're afraid of it because they don't understand it. They don't understand how it works or why it works, or they don't want to get the bone pointed at them. And that's understandable. So if it's not your thing, it's not your thing. That's cool. But at the same time, this stuff, divination from tarot cards, pendulum, scrying, all this stuff palm reading. This stuff's been around for since the beginning of man. This stuff's been around. So it's just interesting to look into it and talk about it. I'm just trying to help people, educate people, so that you're not so scared of like the taboo of it, and then maybe you start to kind of branch out and look into it yourself and see, maybe it is something that a rabbit hole that you want to go down into. If not, that's cool. But anybody, if you have any questions or anything about that stuff, just let me know. And like I said, I'm just trying to help people. That's my main goal. So yeah, good show tonight, Mike. Thank you.
Appreciate it, brother. Matt in California, you're the best. Look forward to seeing you guys next week. Have a fantastic evening, and thanks for calling. Thanks for being you, brother.
All right, man. Thank you. Good night.
Have a good night. Thank you. Thanks for listening. Thanks for the call. There you go. Simple as that. Look, that's what this show's about. This show's about, again, instead of, right, harping on the reasons people are different, right? Literally at the core of it, at the core of that notion, that's what racism is, right? Like, the term bigotry. Sorry, racism. Throw that out. Bigotry is what I meant. I misspoke. Bigotry, right? I'm not, again, sorry, James, I'm not saying racism doesn't exist. Racism clearly exists. I'm saying bigotry is that we're literally, the mainstream media is pointing out the reasons we're different from each other and saying, look, these people are different. You should hate them for it. And I'm like, fuck's sakes. Like, we're all people. We're all damn people, right? Anyway, that's the whole point of this. That's why it doesn't matter where you come from. Again, we got people listening all over the world and having their own ideas about this. So what is magic? Is it possible to point the bone? If you get the bone pointed at you, is it possible to overcome that? Do you control your own destiny, or does destiny control you? And there's a big conversation here. Again, it's as old as time. It's honestly as old as time. Are we here because we were placed here, or are we here for another reason entirely? I don't know. Back to Signs, that movie, if you guys have seen that, Signs, right? What's his name? Mel Gibson, that guy, right? Swing Merrill, right? Swing Away Merrill, right? That whole bit. If you guys haven't seen it, it's amazing. But the whole point of the movie is, what do you believe? Do you believe that we were put here for a reason, or do you believe that everything's just some random accident? And I think it's a worthy conversation, and that's what we're doing here. Let's go to thank you for all the amazing phone calls tonight. Let's go to APOC. APOC on Discord. Just go ahead and just unmute, and you're welcome. Welcome to. Really? I still have yet to see the movie Signs, Shadows of the Moon. What is wrong with you? Put it on the top of the list. It's only a couple hours. It's amazing. It's a great movie. It starts out about aliens, and it ends up not being about aliens. APOC from Discord. Welcome to Troubled Minds. How are you? How are you tonight?
You called me out, man.
I did. I pointed the finger at you. See what I almost did there?
You did.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. So I'm sure you have some ideas here. What do you think about this fate versus like kind of carrying your own fate versus magic and words and power? And again, like maybe counter spells. I don't know. Am I off the rails? Of course I am. But what is your thought on all this stuff?
I'm really glad that you brought up the fate versus destiny thing again. I'm going to have to get over my stage fright. Sorry. So maybe I'll get through it when I continue to talk for a minute.
I got you. Hold on. Just so you know, you've got me. So if you get flustered for a sec, just say save me. I'll step in. I got you. I'll reframe us. Give you a second to catch your breath and recollect. Go right ahead.
Oh, cool. Okay. So if you think about how time works, and I'm a time freak. I look at all the physics, quantum physics and all that stuff. So if you look at the singularity point, that's where all the information is supposed to be stored. And time is actually what organizes it. Or, you have a program in your computer that can read video files, and you have a program that can read text files, So we're kind of like the program that reads the information, but theoretically, the information is all there in the past, future, and, for eternity. So if you think about it, there's no real issue between fate and destiny. It's because we have made our own choices that we have a destiny in the first place. So that's my opinion on that. So far, I take in more information, but do you get where I'm at with that?
Yeah, well, so you're saying we choose it? So meaning that we've already chosen it, we're just working our way there? Is that what you meant?
Well, it's all of the above, kind of, because in the context of the singularity, there is no point with which we haven't chosen it, and there's no point with which we have chosen it. And, I mean, I shouldn't say no point. It all exists in there. So it's like if you take time out of the equation, you have literally our all of our information, all our lives, right there. So we have chosen it, and it's fated because we have chosen it, and because it's fated. So it's like it loops. There's no real distinction between the two. We try to, like, as humans, label things and box things in and change it and make words for it and whatever. But it's all there, If that is true, if the singularity exists, if the dimension of timelessness exists, then that would logically be the conclusion is that there's really no distinction between fate versus destiny.
And so that becomes a human construct because time is the flat circle. Yeah. That whole thing it exists all the time, forever. And so, what does it repeat then as well? So we're becoming what we were. So how do you break out of that? Let's say for instance, we're not talking reincarnation, but we're talking about in terms of time, the flat circle, and we're talking about the universe expanding and contracting and the whole bit. Us living this same thing over and over and over again. Is it possible to change?
See,
Does it change?
Yeah, I don't think that's true. I don't think we do loop. I don't think that there's a one thing over and over again. In the context and construct or program of time, it moves forward. There's a linear progression, so we don't loop in our conscious recognition of our lives. It's just that the information remains in the in the computer, I guess, if you want to do a metaphor. But so yeah, it's not like a loop, and I'm not one to sort of go with the expansion contraction theory. I think that we live in a fractal universe, and when one part of the fractal changes, the rest of the fractal adjusts and changes as well in that particular portion of infinity. So that's my perspective. But so yeah, I don't think we loop. I think we're already doing what we're intended to do in all contexts, really. Okay.
But however, so what does that mean? Do we control our own fate or do we not? And I did what I hate. I gave you a binary when life is complicated. I did what I hate. But again, so you're saying yes, it's on our own lap, and we control, we drive our own car, right?
Yes, and we've already driven it, so there's really no conflict. It's all the same thing.
Okay.
So, do you get it?
I do, but then without the repetition and again, throw out the Big Bang and all that stuff. So you mean we have done it before?
Which may or may not have happened. The Big Bang might not actually be the Big Bang. There's a conflict in that too with the scientists. They don't really know if it actually happened.
Of course. So we talk about the multiverse and all different dimensions and all that stuff. It's all on the table. But okay, all right. So all that aside, then what about this magic spell stuff? So if we're driving our own car and we have driven it previously, we can drop that. Do you think it's possible that if you point the bone, that is it possible to shake that? Is it again, right? So like I said, I take it seriously in that, like, I was not kidding when I'm saying, hey, look, I could quit tomorrow, right? Nobody makes me get on this microphone every night. I do it because I think it's important. I do it because I think there are concepts that people aren't really considering as possible. And it's a damn big-ass universe, big-ass multiverse, right? We're not even talking like simulation theory or any of that. But, well, we do. But in those terms, well, where do we go? Like, how? I don't know. Like, do you think that there is the ability to cast a spell, a curse of such? And if so, can you undo it?
Yep. And yes. And yes. So my thoughts on that are, I have a quick story first, I guess.
Sure.
When I was a kid, I was in high school, and I would sit in art class at this tall table that was kind of covered, but not all the way. And some kids told me, that guy keeps dropping his pencil so he can look up your skirt. And I'm like, so I watched him for a while, and yeah, that's exactly what he was doing.
Dear God.
And it frustrated.
Wait, how old was this kid?
I was in high school. I don't know.
Okay.
Sometime in high school.
Okay, all right.
Like 14, 15.
Some reason I heard you say elementary school, and I'm like, what the? Okay. All right.
No.
All right. And anyway, all right.
No.
What the hell? It's still horrific. It's just more horrific. But it's elementary school.
I know.
Sorry. Go ahead.
And to tell you the truth, I was really at that point tired of being, violated in multiple ways. So I was, in metaphorical ways. And so I was really, I did something that I don't know if I regret it or not, but you might think it's funny. So I drew some symbol that meant nothing on a piece of paper. And I walked over to him and I handed it to him. And I was witchy looking back then. I dressed all in black and, people thought I was a witch and I wasn't, but
No, you don't say. That I'm shocked. I'm shocked. meaning it's late at night and you're listening to this show. That's all I mean.
Yeah. So I had a little bit of leverage in this experience, right? So I walked over to him and I said, I know what you've been doing, and I handed him the piece of paper and I said, if you throw this piece of paper away, get rid of it, burn it, whatever, then in 3 days you'll have a broken leg. And I said, I said, I don't like what you've been doing. And of course he was surrounded by his hormonal brothers, in adulthood.
High school.
Growth, where they thought they were grown.
Bro.
And
yeah, totally.
And so he had the ego thing going for him. And of course he threw it away when he walked out the door, out the trash can. Guess what? In 4 days, he came back to school in a cast.
No, shut up.
No, I'm serious.
No, wait.
It blew my...
That's amazing. That's amazing. Okay, so... I
know, right?
So... Clearly, did you, right, like go do some sage and burn some things and some frankincense, right? So what do you think happened?
Not. It was all in his mind, right?
Yeah,
it was all just this trick of the mind. He did it himself. And, my intention was just to keep him from looking up my skirt, right? And it worked. But here's my idea on getting rid of that stuff. So... it comes down to belief. If you believe that this stuff is going to affect you, regardless of whether you know it or don't know it, or, stuff is coming towards you. But if you have a thought process which locks things in, I'll put it that way. If you lock things in your mind, in other words, you aren't flexible in taking in information, you aren't flexible in thinking, well, this is what I think is true now, but it could change later. If you lock stuff in and you think that you're right about all this stuff, and you believe that that's the way to be, then I think it will affect you because you have sort of a limited, locked in kind of way to perceive things. And so that energy, that residual of being locked in I think you'll be affected more. I think if you don't have your belief locked in, then your brain is not going to be programmed to hold it, whatever it is. Not in that way anyway, not in the way that it can affect you.
Yeah, but okay, so I get you there, and isn't it interesting that you say that, but also like in a dogmatic way, being locked in is also a bad thing, right? Like you said, you were talking about being flexible, about making sure that everything you think you know today may not be the same thing tomorrow, right? Maybe locked into that, but there's people that are locked into, I don't know, and I don't want to make it religious, but you know what I'm saying, right? Like the prayer of this or the prayer of that. Like some people think that's locked in. You know what I mean? And also, in some ways, it protects them, right? And so again, don't get me wrong. Believe what you want to believe. I'm not anti-faith at all, and I understand. And it pisses me off a lot the way the media does that, because it is a war on religion. It's a war on faith. It's a war on belief. And I don't think it's necessary because it's a war on people in the end. And so it's okay. Right. So my point is, I'm not saying that that's a negative thing. I'm saying that I agree with you. However, are there other ways to do it? Is kind of my point there, right? Meaning that if you're locked in another way, is it still protection of sorts?
Absolutely, yeah. Because I mean, when you anchor something, that's a form of belief. So if you've anchored a religious belief, if you've anchored an idea, if you've anchored a safety precaution, if you're a metaphysical person and you have shields and whatever, you have it, but you've anchored it in, you've worked on it, you've looked at it, you've decided that that's what you want to believe and that's going to be your protection, then yeah, absolutely it'll work. But I mean, it goes both ways. So if you want to, but I try to go to the sort of deeper, like intrinsic, let's fix it all kind of place, and I think that those things can also leave you susceptible to believing that other people can influence you in some way. If you believe that you've put up a protection spell or that you do the mirror thing, which is cool, by the way, I like that, Lily. The mirror thing is cool. But I think that can, it can be extremely useful, but it can also allow you to know that you can be influenced in other ways because you are then putting focus on it and directing the influence in a different direction. So it's almost like a focus thing. If you believe that you can defend against it, then you must believe that it's there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And so that knucklehead in high school, so what do you think he believed? That's an interesting
he thought
question.
I was a witch, man.
Right. So I wonder, right? Like that's power. Like that's one of those things that I'm telling you, that's hot. That's one of those things where it's like hold on now. Like she said, and it happened, right? And so I wonder how you change that dude's life. Like even like kind of inadvertently, right? You know what I mean? Like hopefully for the better. Yeah, that's wild. That is wild. Yeah. Okay. So magic is real, and I agree 100%. And that words are influence, and influence is real, and that makes magic real because words are magic. You spell words, right? You speak words, and it is again like Rohan was saying, the placebos and nocebo effects. That stuff's all real. And that is all again, like scientific basis real. They actually have to have like studies that like literally peel off groups to account for those things because the human mind does amazing shit on its own. So I don't know, like where are we at in the end, right? Magic or not magic, fate or not fate. I like to do my own magic, as Rohan says. I keep invoking Rohan, and he's not showing up. I'm trying to summon the man, and he's not here. So that tells you magic's not really real, right? At least in a small sample size. but I don't know. I don't know. We're not in a big hurry here. Nobody tells us when to stop. But what do you like? So in the end, what's it all about? I guess that's the question here.
Well, I think it probably comes down to personal choice. I mean, we have, and awareness and knowledge. I think if we can grow our knowledge base, if we can understand things in different ways, if we can add dimensions to our perspective, I think that we can make better choices and we can be a little bit more free as we move through life. So once we get that sort of impassioned viewpoint to sort of deep dive into our own into the way that we think in our own psyche and our own whatever, then we just sort of naturally expand into the collective consciousness and we expand outwards. And I think we start caring a little bit more and understanding a little bit more. And I think that at that point we can make more educated decisions. And they're all individual. I think every single human being is here for a different reason than other individuals. I don't prescribe to the, we're in school and we're all here to learn stuff. I think we're all here for different reasons and they're very personal. And I think that, some people might, they might find value in going through some kind of thing like a curse. They might find value in whatever they're doing. They might learn from it and then maybe help others through it in the future. I don't know. But I think that it all comes down to personal choice. And I did want to comment real quick. Words, when you made that comment about words, words are anchors. They are anchors. Every single word that we have means something to each and every person, and they can mean different things to different people, but that's a symbol. We've anchored meaning to words. That means that we are speaking in symbols. We are speaking in anchored emotions, anchored beliefs when we use communication. And so that's something to think about when you say words have power. They absolutely do, because they're symbols of something. Now, are we going to hold on to that? Are we going to be affected by it? Are we going to use it to try to communicate better? Again, that comes down to personal choice, So it's my feedback.
All right, good stuff. And how's the anxiety? You're doing just fine, by the way.
Oh, I'm better. I'm still a little bit there, but I'm better.
Nice. It's kind of like jumping in the pool, right? You're like, oh, I ain't gonna do it. And you're like, and once you're in, you're like, oh, this is fine. This is fine. And brilliant stuff. And thank you so much for the phone call. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for dealing with the Discord madness and all that. I know that this happens to everybody when we first do the caller queue and the on-air thing. It's literally happened to every single person that's ever done this. I don't know what the thing is. If anybody knows why, when you jump on the caller queue and then I pull you into the on-air and it bounces you back out, people have figured it out, but clearly I'm on the other side of it, so I've never had to do it, so I don't know. But if anybody knows and can help with that, please let me know, and we can solve this problem in perpetuity, because that's what I prefer to do. But yeah, amazing stuff. This is APOC, a new friend of Troubled Minds, been listening to us for quite a while, but just popped into the Discord a couple nights ago, and I had the pleasure of meeting her and making her acquaintance and making a new friend. And I appreciate you very much. Thanks for listening. Thanks for jumping in here. Matt in the chat says great caller, and I agree. And great person. Thank you for having an open mind and considering that the things we know today may not be the things we know tomorrow. And I appreciate that a lot.
Right. Okay, thanks. Bye-bye.
Have a great night. Appreciate that. That's APOC, and we're still doing our thing. We're talking Troubled Minds. We're talking all the things. Kelly, you got any hot take on any of that stuff before we burn this out?
No, that was a great call though from APOC. Welcome to the show and the group. I mean, good callers have good things to share. So that was actually pretty good. But yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. Like you guys were saying, can you reverse it? For me, yeah, you can reverse something. But you got to know. You got to know some things too. And sometimes people say that. If you don't believe in it, that nothing will happen. But that's the thing. See, and some people will, maybe that's the case. That maybe they want you to think that is not real. So that way, they can cast these spells and everything. You think that's always, you don't know what's always happening. Maybe someone did cast a spell on you. You got to be open to mind to a lot of some of this stuff, man. But society kind of just wants to put it on a shelf and point at it, and make fun of it like, that ain't real. But like again, we've been saying this has been going on for thousands of years. People have been talking about these people that have this ability or learn this type of ability to do this type stuff. In all reality, in all functions of everything. But we're talking the life that we have to live here on this planet in this life right now. Some things can be affected, even if you don't want to, think that you don't want to join into the party. Someone's gonna, if they're in bad intentions, they can actually just join you in, and you're just kind of just stuck, Yeah. But,
Go ahead.
You can break that. There's ways of doing that. Like I said, this is something that really interesting me. So that's where I spend a lot of my. I should spend more time. I should say I've got a lot of books on it, but I need to get. I got to get me an astrology book first and foremost. Yeah, man. Other than that, man, good callers tonight and good subject.
Great shit as always from you as well. So I want to say that too as we finish this up. That's my belief from the get go. You guys know that about me. If you've really been listening, I don't believe you can affect me, right? Like again, like the joke is, broadcasting from a circle assault, meaning that like we do drive our own car. We empower our own destiny, and if we're not our biggest cheerleader, then who the fuck is, right? And that's the thing, and that's what this has always been about. Like I said, I could quit tomorrow. There's other things I could do, and it's not a thing to me, right? If it happens, it'll be like something, let's say, very, very large that makes me stop, because this is important. These conversations are important. It's important to get them out in the zeitgeist. It's important to hear what other people think. It's important to maybe push concepts out that people haven't considered, and then also to disagree with each other, and then come back tomorrow and keep talking and keep loving each other and accepting each other. You know what I mean? Like there's so much here that that's what this has always been about. Kelly is, again, a perfect example of a brother. He's been around for a very long time on this show, just hanging out, and we don't always agree, but we don't have to, do we? It's not about that, is it?
No, man, it's not. It's about bringing ideas together, and maybe if we disagree on some point, maybe that it's just like what I can't remember his name. He was just saying that that's to help open people's eyes. It's just planting a seed. Maybe you might disagree in the beginning, then next you look it up, start investigating yourself, and then you get to actually sometimes if you're wrong, you have to most people they don't do it, but you got to stand up as the bigger person, be like, yeah, I was wrong on that one, but you don't always have to agree on everything. You don't. It's just thoughts that you bring together so people can, bring everything that they have, information that we can, and let's see what we can find and what we can accomplish together,
Amen to that. Amen to that. And if anybody would know, Kelly would know. He's been here for a very long time with Troubled Minds, a brother and a very good friend. And thank you for all your amazing takes. Thanks for all your patience with all the jumping calls around and being flexible with all that. You're the best, my friend. As always, God bless you and the family. Tell Michelle we said hi, and let's wrap this up. We usually have a quote outro. You got something you want to pick for us? I hate to put you on the spot. I can pick something and do it myself, but well, we got you here. There's no J. The J-Tro, he's been shoveling snow, so he passes out early. Poor guy.
Hold on, I got to find something.
All right, that's cool. You dig something up. I appreciate that, Johnny on the spot. And so basically, look, you guys know this. This is not about teaching people magic is real. This is not about teaching people magic is not real. All right? It's about considering the concept. That's all. It's as simple as that. And that's why we talk about this stuff, and that's why we get together and just become, what would you say, more accepting of each other. And again, like I said, there doesn't have to be a conflict between religious people and scientific people, between engineer-type minds and creative-type minds. It doesn't have to be a conflict. For fuck's sakes, let it go. Let it go. As people, again, right, we in the end, we all have to sleep. We all have to eat. We all have to crap, right? It's hard to be crude. We do. We have more in common than we don't. And so why on God's green earth is all the media and all the garbage pressing us to hate? I hate it. I hate that. I hate that humanity presses hate. But it's not even humanity. Because look, and this was the whole idea of Troubled Minds. Let me know when you're ready, Kelly. Is that if you're pressing hate constantly, it's not humanity, right? Sure, some parts of humanity. But listen, this show is about regular people. We don't have Don Lemon or Sean Hannity on this shit. We have you on this show. Me, I'm a regular I'm telling you, nobody makes me do this. Honest to God, I could shut this whole MFer down and not come back tomorrow. I could. But I come back because I think it's important. And that's what I'm saying. We have more in common than we don't. And so why are we not beating that war drum instead of the other? It makes no sense to me. And that's what this has always been about. Where are we at, Kelly?
Yeah, man, I got one for you. This is from Rune. Hold on, let me see. I don't want to mess it up too much. It's Rune Lasdet.
Okay.
And it's called, and the quote is, "The universe is my home, all beings are my tribe, and oneness is my religion."
I love it. I love it. Which means, in the end, we're more the same than we are different. That's exactly what I was saying. It's almost like you were reading my mind, my friend.
Yeah, man, it's a troubled mind, you know?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, indeed. We're winding this up. You're the best. Kelly, final thought for us?
You know,
You were cutting out like crazy, but I'm going to assume it was something positive because I know my Kelly.
Yeah, but
appreciate that. Great stuff. You're the man. Kelly in Colorado. Let's get the hell out of here. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 7 p.m. Pacific, Troubled Minds. And this is the thing, right? Thank you, Kelly, for that quote. Sorry you cut out the end there. It may have been the music playing. But this is the thing, right? Just don't be so sure. Like, again, I say be sure, be strong, be true. But there's also the strong and the true. And being sure means that today, if you're sure, you're not sure of tomorrow. And of course, like I always say, the bad news is we're done. This one's for our good buddy Jay in New York. The good news is, God willing, we've got tomorrow. All right, and just don't be so rigid, flexible in your wavelength in your brain, flexible with people. Don't hate. What's up, Satan out there? Of course, you would expect Satan to say, "Let's go, Brandon." Good God. All right, let's do it. As we finish, it goes exactly like I said. We'll be back tomorrow night with Axel Steele. We're going to be talking the Vril Society and some weird stuff. Where's that come from? What's the mythology? Is it real? Is it not real? Etc. So on. You know how we do it. This is not propaganda. This is ideas. This is a conversation, and that's how we do this. You're always invited on the show. TroubledMinds.org. Click the Discord link. Let's GTFO. Buzz Aquino says, "Be as water." Bruce Lee. Keep your mind as water as well. All right. So it goes like this. Like this. We'll see you tomorrow night. 7 p.m. Pacific. We have an after show typically where people hang out. I'm not speaking for anybody, but jump in, join the Discord, TroubledMinds.org. Click the Discord link. A lot of the amazing people you hear calling the show are active in that Discord, and come hang out. And APOC's one of the new ones. Thank you, APOC, for the phone call tonight. James is usually there. We got Jay in New York. He's just shoveling snow. Kelly sometimes drops by. We have Jennifer, Night Stalker, lots of folks. You guys know who they are. Matt in California. In any case, we're out of here. It goes like this. Let's full cam this so I can do the hand gestures. We'll see you tomorrow night. Axel Steele, Vril Society. For right now, be sure, be strong, be true. Thank you for listening. From our troubled minds to yours, have a great night.